Big up, big up, big up, big up to all those that are joining us live, or even if you're joining us on the replay, big up to you as well. We are back from, or at least I am back from the holiday weekend, the long holiday weekend. Saw the celebration of my country's birthday, and now we are fully into the week, back into the madness. We've had Euros, we've had COPA, we have a bunch of transfer rumors heating up. We've had interviews from Slot. We've had retirements. We've had dilemmas. I mean, it's like as the world turns somewhat when it comes to a lot of the stuff that we've been having to deal with. But all the same, what it is certainly what we enjoy, which is having something to talk about, I guess, something out there to talk about. So appreciate you guys out there if you're joining us live. And again, if you're joining us on the replay, be sure to leave a comment. I'm joined today by Lee and the Irishman, of course. Big up, Lee. How are you doing?
Good, mate. Good.
Good.
Yeah,
And
happy 4th of July anyway, like I'll say that live. You know what I like from the revolutionary period is the Boston Tea Party story. It just made me laugh, the idea that these people value tea an awful lot, don't they? Let's throw it into bloody harbour and tell them to piss off. That just tickled me. I could imagine myself doing it, like to some like grey wig wearing posh git that I didn't like, you know what I mean? I thought it was a very funny story that the Boston Tea Party chucked that in the bloody harbour.
That is, yeah. And the fact that they wore outfits and like just in case someone wanted to rat on them, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, but it is what it is. Big up to the Irishman as well. How are you doing, Irishman?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, happy birthday, America, basically.
Yeah.
Agree with every, yeah. Good on the old, the Tea Party people. Just get out, if that's what you want to do, you get out there at the weekend and throw something in the sea. You're close enough to the docks, man. Get down there and throw something in the harbor.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, it's certainly something.
Documentary.
Become one of them recreationist guys.
Do you know who he is? 12th, Thomas Paine, the Englishman who went to America, but he was very anti-royalist and that, like, and he was a big, he's just changing people's minds, telling them, look, tell these people to about the royals and that, like, and the monarchy. What was the books? I don't know. He's done a couple of books, like, but they were like a big part of the American Revolution. He'd watch people being hung behind his house when he was a kid and all that, like, by the elite and that, like, and knew what a bunch of bastards they were, basically, like, and was all too happy to tell Americans this, like.
Yeah.
Payne with a Y, Payne, Thomas Paine, the man's name was, yeah.
Thomas Paine. Yeah, Thomas Paine.
Yeah.
Sure. Know him. Yeah. Before we go down the history route, I was gonna say big up to those in the chat that are saying hello to us. Big up to Lee and big up to Baz. As always, definitely appreciate the love there, brothers and sisters. There's a bunch of stuff that went on this weekend. I don't know. I know that you guys weren't out watching fireworks and taking in shows and such. But there was there's some big news that happened over the weekend. I guess what I wanted to start off with was someone that I know that is very dear to Brian's heart as well. But someone that I really do appreciate, and someone that I was so over the moon when he was joining the club. I wish the only setback or the only shortcoming was the fact that I wish that we could have seen more of him, of his availability, obviously, and being on the pitch, because when he was on the pitch, he was an absolute maestro, just absolute class individual. And it's like I'm going to bring this up here too, because I wanted to make sure that he got a proper send off for at least for myself. At least I know you guys have probably some words to share as well. But I'm going to bring up this photo first to show you who I'm speaking on. I am speaking on the man himself, Thiago. I'd like to wish him well in his retirement. Just as another player that's moving on said in his farewell speech, once a Red, always a Red. So you're with this club during some legendary moments, and in my opinion, you are a legendary player on a world platform. You wore the red with class and always were professional in representing this club. Those that question your contribution or label you as a flop don't understand that injuries happen. And it's about the character and commitment of the player that should speak for them. And I think that it has certainly spoken for you as showing that you are a class individual and you are someone that, despite the fact that you were unable to give every day, all day, all the time performances, availability, and the likes, still is the fact that I was proud that you were a Red. So big up to Thiago. Did you want to say some words there, Lee? And then we'll go to Irishman.
Yeah, it's a big shame with Thiago. Everyone knew what quality he was. The fact that he was Pep Guardiola's Rodri when Guardiola arrived at Bayern Munich speaks volumes, doesn't it? Guardiola identified him as the man to conduct the flow of traffic in his midfield, then he must have been a good midfielder. The injuries, and it's a shame. Adrian's moved on as well, hasn't he? Seen somebody in a comment section yesterday saying that they look back on Adrian's time favourably. They did caveat that with starting their comment with, I know I'm in the minority about Adrian. The only thing with Adrian was the Atletico Madrid mistake. That was the only thing there with Adrian. Apart from that, he did his best, didn't he? I mean, it's not like he did it on purpose, the Atletico Madrid mistake. But
jeez, well, you've more to say about Adrian than you do to say about Thiago.
Well, he had more games. He played more, didn't he, Adrian?
Did he?
Don't know. Did he? Neither of
Yeah,
them.
no. I mean, it just It just shows that. I mean, what can you say about him? Like, the guy hasn't kicked the ball for us in for more than a game and a bit in over a year, well over a year. What do you say? Because I know we're going to go on to Adrian later on.
Yes, he's up next.
Again, look, you know how I felt about him as a player. Kind of the player I always wanted us to buy. A player I was depressed enough about to actually care when he went to Bayern instead of joining us. So he's never going to join us back then. But we eventually got him, and then apart from a sort of a short enough little period out of his probably a quarter of the time he spent here, maybe had a couple of class games, showed us what he was made of. But I mean, just huge disappointment, really, that you never got to see what he was able to do for more than a couple of games. But look, like you said, at his peak, world class, absolutely world class operator. And it just shows you, because I knew, to be honest, I think we all knew at the start of this season that he would be leaving at the end of this year anyway. But I didn't think he was going to retire. Exactly. I thought he can go and play. So I was like, that's why he kind of caught me out of we obviously were talking. The guy hasn't played football for a year.
Big.
Well, yeah. So I suppose big shock. I suppose
he's got to retire.
Yeah, now when you think about it, it's not surprising. But yeah, I just the way they are these days. Look, he'll go and play 2 years in, inverted commas, whatever region you want to call it, wherever you want to go, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, run around for a couple of years, earn a few million quid. But yeah, he's just straight up, nope, that's it, done, finished.
You got to respect that, haven't you? That he's looked at it and he's gone, no.
Maybe it is way worse. Maybe it's one of those things that doctors have said, you need to stop playing football. If you want to be able to walk around when you're 50.
Yeah, Well,
you want to be able to chase your grandkids around the park and have fun, have a kick around with the grandkids when you're 55, 60.
Thiago's
Want to give it up, mate.
a big part of his injury. He's always hurt.
It is. It's the hip. It's the hip. He's had a hip replacement. He has a new hip, like. He basically had a hip replacement, like.
No wonder he's decided then if he's had the hip replacements. I would myself, mate. I wouldn't put my mobility in later life at risk just to play on a couple of seasons, like, and no, I wouldn't put my mobility at risk, like, if I was going to be going round on the scooter, do you? Just because of that. Yeah.
It's what they call the adductor, which is the muscle that it's basically the muscle it's the same injury that Bajcetic has. And it's basically like when you swing your leg back and then you swing it forward again, i.e. when you're kicking a football or passing a football, that's the main muscle that you use in your hip is the adductor.
Yeah.
So that's why you hear a lot of them going like, and he obviously, his hip went, the adductor went, which the muscle, then the hip goes, yada, yada, yada. I mean, yeah, he was obviously a lot more injured than we realized even.
I told you, didn't I? The day we bought him, a Bayern Munich fan warned me, like, in a comment section on YouTube, that he'd always be injured. So I'm assuming that his later Bayern career was marred by injury a lot, because he must have played at some point at Bayern, but this Bayern fan was saying the guy's never fit. The guy's never fit. He couldn't say that enough times. He said, great player, never fit. So I don't know what his appearances record is over his number of years in Munich, but that must have been questionable as well. Like for a Munich fan to say that to me the day we bought him, because I was rejoicing because I knew how good he was. I was like, yes, and so was everyone else. But this Munich fan was there to tell us the unvarnished truth about his fitness, and he was right. I mean, he got injured on his debut, and we didn't see him again for 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, but the injury. It wasn't like he got. It'd be one thing, and I know when people say injury prone, I get when people say injury. Oh, he's injury prone. He's injury prone, and I'm like, it's similar to Lucho too. Like the injuries, or even Diego, the injuries that they've gotten, the majority of the injuries. I mean, everyone gets little like tweaks to the hamstring and such, but the injuries they've gotten have been impact injuries. Like it's been impact injuries that have applied them to not being available. I mean, Thiago was this very same. He played through. He was injured in that game. Hold on, Brian. He got
no.
Injured
It just that doesn't. Yeah. I see
grumbling. I already see it grumbling.
No, I'm not grumbling. I'm just looking at his things, and I'm just saying it's his thing is going to contradict that. Unfortunately.
Well, no. Well, I'm talking. Well, not necessarily for. Yeah. I'm talking about his time with us has been primarily like a lot of them have been injuries that he had previously, and then they've still remounted, and they've come back to haunt him. As in, Thiago had it in. He got injured in that game that you're talking about, for instance, where I think it was Richarlison basically. Decided he wanted to do an MMA move.
Oh yeah, he took him out. He took him out on purpose.
Right.
He knew what.
And he continued to play through it. He played through that game too. Yeah. But it ended up being a lot worse.
For sure. Richarlison on Thiago's debut, he went, I'm not having this, and come in and axed him, didn't he? Because he knew what a good player Thiago is.
Oh, that's Richarlison.
Brazil international, wasn't he?
Yeah,
his dad was in the squad that won the '94 World Cup in America, Mazzino.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you wanted to know, Lee, it's since 1920. If you start since 1920 season, he's missed 56 days, 95 days, 98 days, 365 days, and 117 days, which is 10 games, 27 games, 23 games, 57 games, and 23 games, which is basically then muscle injury, hip flexor, hamstring, thigh problem, hip injury. The hip injury is going. So the hip injury first arrives in the 2021-22 season. That's the first time that shows up. Before that, it's calf injury, knee injury, coronavirus, groin surgery, groin problems, cervical spine injury. Well, he only missed a week because of that. I mean, it sounds like the most serious. He missed a week.
I'm sure Klopp
And
and
then torn
Linders.
lateral.
I'm
So-
sure Klopp and Linders bought him knowing that he would spend some time injured, but probably just hoped it wouldn't be as much when he got to Anfield. Because I think it was worth the punt, because what they had in mind, like if Thiago could have played the lion's share of, say, like 2 or 3 Prem seasons in a row, playing like, I don't know, 28 games out of 38 or something in the league, a couple of seasons in a row, it could have made such a massive difference to our chances of winning the league back off City, couldn't it?
Yeah, it was just going to what your Bayern friend was saying. When for them he missed just this season's 5 games, 4 games, 1 game, and 1 game, and 7 games. Like the hip injury happens at Liverpool, and I don't think it looks like he's never recovered from that, because that goes 37 days, then 8 days the next is fine, then 29, 55, 281, 100. It looks like they never fixed that. Whatever happened with that hip, it looks like that was never, because it's been like, yeah. And then he had to have a bloody hip replacement. Like if a footballer needs a hip replacement, yeah, I don't know. It's just just what a player he could have been. The ultimate for when we say Thiago, I just think what could have been. It's just what could have been. You know, like Lee said, if we'd gotten 3 years out of him playing just even 28, 30 games a season, what could have been then?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm fine with with them taking a punt on Thiago, with them taking that gamble. I think it was worth the gamble. Okay, it didn't pay off, but it was worth it, wasn't it? Just if he could have been fit, it could have made a massive difference in those last few seasons, like while Jurgen was here. But it didn't happen. But it was worth a punt, because he obviously identified him as somebody who could help him win the league, basically.
Well, I don't. Do you guys know? I have a question for you two. Because the way I see it is that we all like him, we all love him, we know what he is. He's a dream team type player, right? So everybody's happy to have him. But the way I look at it and the way I remember it was everybody was giving out about the Brexit midfield. Henderson, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson, Milner, Wijnaldum, 3 workhorses, no creativity, and all the creativity come from the flanks and our front 3. Yeah. And everyone was like, wow, that team is absolutely amazing. Can you imagine how much better it would be if they just took one of the workhorses out? Because you don't need 3 workhorses, apparently, and you replace them with a quality player, someone who could, create and all that. And that was literally, if you were able to go back in time to that then, that is pretty much every second Liverpool podcast, every second Liverpool show. Brexit midfield. We need quality in midfield. We need a playmaker. We need quality in midfield. Right. And that was going to be the final piece in the jigsaw. Well, so do you think that the fans... No, Lee, I have a question for you. Do you think that they actually listened to that too much and gave in almost to the fans and said, okay, right, you want a creator type guy? Here's the most creator type guy. And they made a wrong try. Or do you think Klopp really, really wanted to bring him in? Or was it just...
I think Klopp wanted to bring him in. I don't think Klopp would listen to the fans in that regard. If the workhorse midfield was doing what was required, why change it? But it wasn't. It got us 1 title, but he wanted more, and he knew he had to tinker with it a little bit, and I think that's what he had in mind. Well, we know that's what he had in mind, isn't it? I don't know. I don't think it was because the fans were saying it. I was never saying it. I noticed that's what our midfield was, but it didn't bother me. As long as we were winning, it didn't
bother me either.
Yeah, right. So
Trent and Robbo were tearing up Europe.
Yeah. It's who he was up against. It wouldn't have been Guardiola. If Guardiola wasn't frigging here when Klopp was here, he probably never would have went that way. Or with the inverted or not, he just would have done his normal thing. But what he did from the beginning, he just carried on doing that until he left Liverpool. But he had to change it because of Guardiola.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's gone.
No, I'm back. Just had to shut the door. No, I was going to say my answer to that question is I believe that there are players out there that obviously Jurgen has, interest in, has some affection for, I believe that he recognizes talent, obviously. And I think also it's similar to why we're in these Euro talks, or why we're in, why we ended up getting certain players when we do get these certain players. It's more like an opportunity. If someone knocked on your door and said, "Hey, I think there's an opportunity that you can get Thiago in this team," I don't think Jurgen was going to be like, "Oh, you know what? I'm good with the three workhorses that I have in my midfield. I don't need any techie world class player." Like, I'm sure he probably was just like, "If we can get him, let's have a conversation." And I'm sure there are kinds of, especially with the way that this administration or the back office staff works a lot of times, with some of the players that he's wanted but hasn't gotten, and they've given alternatives or their perception of who they think needs to be brought into this team. I think that is like one of those situations where Thiago is a world-class player, and having the opportunity to bring him in, I mean, and it being something of like, once in a lifetime type concept of, or not lifetime, but once in the blue moon style opportunity to bring in a player of his caliber, I'm sure they're just like, you know what, let's do it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, so what? We're getting him. It's not like they spent like an arm and a leg to get him. They spent
No. I think it was part of it, though. I just think there was a tiny part of it, was him going, let's give the fans what they want, not caving in and buying the players that fans wanted.
Oh, but
a little bit of him, like, okay, the fans want that little bit of, I mean, because he knows this is the club of John Barnes, this is the club of Xabi Alonso. He knows that look, I'd like to bring in that extra bit of class in there, knowing that midfield three that he had. Looking back now, he probably would have thought, let's buy someone a bit more robust,
right,
that can maybe give us a couple of 100 games, maybe. But I think that it is always go down as a bad one because of how it turned out. But the deal was there to be done. I don't think there was any problem with the deal. Everybody was happy at the time, like you said. Nobody could have foreseen.
Yeah, the fee wasn't an awful lot, was it? 20
no, he only cost about
That's
28.
my point. That was my major point. Yeah, the fee was like, it'd be a different story if they came out and they said like, yeah, there's the major sticking point was they want 50 million or 60 million for Thiago. Then you're like, oh wait, whoa, okay, he's great, but like, he's like, he's a 30 plus year old player that is had a couple of nicks here and there. Yeah, that's a different story. But
yeah, unfortunately, the hips were about 70 years old. We just didn't know that at the time.
Right. Yeah. Hips don't lie, for sure.
No, not now.
One of my favourite Thiago moments was him celebrating Bajcetic's goal against whoever it was against, when Bajcetic pulled it, dragged it along with the bottom of his foot, and then finished. I think it was.
What could have been the ultimate master and understudy? What could have been? And they're so alike. They went and got the same bloody injury.
Well, let's just go going forward. Bajcetic doesn't.
Yeah. There was another announcement. Excuse me. There was another announcement made this weekend, and it was something that was already in the works. I know that we did like a piece long while back when we did. So I remember JK made a great thumbnail for us when we did the Gone Fellas, or maybe Goodfellas, Gone Fellas kind of thing, where we were saying how you kind of had the concept or knew who was going to be leaving the team. It was going to be Thiago, was going to be Matip, and the third player in that list was going to be Adrian. And for a while, everyone was like, everyone thought that it was a done deal, that he was going to be leaving with them. He was going to go out when Jurgen had his goodbye celebration. Everyone thought, oh well, hey, why haven't we not seen Adrian enter the pitch yet? Like that was, I'm sure, kind of weird a little bit. Oh shoot, I had another Thiago. I'll bring up the Thiago thing real quick too. But one last graphic for Thiago there. For those that don't think he's a legend, by the way, that's his trophy haul, by the way. For those that don't think he's a legend, that don't think Thiago's a legend. I get he's not a legend for necessarily Liverpool. He didn't create his legend.
Oh no, not for us. No, he's legend for Barcelona and
Bayern. But all the same, for those
we didn't get any of that residual juice.
Well, look,
I mean, he did help us in some, and he had contributions, and he did help us.
Yeah, look, no one's here.
We got,
you don't.
We had a Caribou Cup. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't have to go to war for the guy. We're all here for him. But he didn't. It just didn't happen for him at Liverpool. It just straight up didn't happen for him. We don't need
I go to war. I go to war for a lot of our Liverpool.
But there's no need to do it here. I mean, not for Thiago. Everyone here is. I'm just interested in what Mark is saying there. That's a no-go for me, man. I'm not having that. No way. Absolutely no way.
Oh, really? I'll bring this up. I'll bring it up for you before we give out the. Since we haven't officially gone into the Adrian's talk, right? Quick.
That's why I was thinking, just in between that we could quickly address this because dropped it in there a couple of times. So,
someone on another channel who is friends with an EPL physio. Okay, all right.
I don't know what you're doing watching other channels, by the way, Mark.
I know.
Remember that.
Who is an EPL physio who tends a certain club, says Ollie Watkins is a done deal, even though he is 28. So a bit strange if true. What does the panel think? I think that is probably utter hogwash. I think that's how you say it in England, right? Hogwash?
Hogwash, yeah.
That is certainly, like as MK Toe says, that is some fake news.
Ollie's not a bad player, but I don't see him as a Liverpool player.
Had possibly his best year of his career last year.
Look, you've already lost Douglas Luiz. They're not going to sell Watkins from under Emery, under Emery's feet. He's going to have a cob on if they sell Watkins as well as Douglas Luiz.
They will if someone offers him stupid money for a 28-year-old. They will. They absolutely will. And they'll reinvest it. They'll get someone just as good and younger.
Yeah. And they will.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the stooge that takes a 28-year-old Ollie Watkins off Villa's hands for whatever stupid number they're going to ask for just because he's kind of lit it up. Like, he's a good player, but I don't want him at Liverpool. I mean, he's hit his mark, I think, at Aston Villa. He's the kind of guy. I've seen it before with guys like him. I've seen it so many times with guys like him. They look really, really, really like he's done it the right way. He's gone up. He's stepped up. I think he went from he was the replacement. He was replaced by Ivan Toney at two clubs. I think he went from Peterborough, ends up at Brentford, ends up at Aston Villa. But guys like him, they go to Liverpool and they can't do it. They don't have that big club mentality.
Yeah. I don't think that. It's very similar to some of the talks about. It's very similar to some of the talks about some of these players that we've been linked to, and I'm like, do they fit Liverpool? Like, some players are great players or dynamic players for the teams that they play for, but it's because they play for that specific team, And I think sometimes people overlook that fact. At least I believe that they overlook that fact when I'm in some of these discussions with people. I think that you don't really get some of these players that you think are going to be, like Ollie Watkins is a good player. He's had a phenomenal year. But is he a Liverpool player? Is he going to fit with the system? Is he going to
And some people, but you're right. And some people say to you, "What does that mean, 12 man?" What do you mean not a Liverpool? How can you say he's a great player, but he's not a Liverpool player?
Right.
But it's a thing, right?
Yeah, totally. So there's certain factors that will make you a Liverpool man, and I think that he doesn't necessarily. Not that it's a knock against him. It's just that he's suited for other clubs. He's just not suited towards Liverpool, I think, personally. Now, if we were to get him and he proves me wrong, kudos, awesome. If it brings glory to the club, I'm all about it. But I just don't think that he fits into. He just doesn't fit into this team.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Like Mark's right, it is a strange one. If it was true, yeah, it'd be even stranger. But I just think it's one of those bizarre rumours that's come up. Really, I don't see us being in the market for that type of forward, like a centre forward. I just don't think we'll be in the market for one this summer.
They're right to put him. If you look at his, because someone else can turn around, I'm sure a Villa fan or something, probably say like, look at his numbers last year as compared to Darwin Núñez. Like he massively outscored Darwin Núñez. He massively outscored pretty much every striker last season. Like he had goals, assists, other than Haaland and maybe everybody in the league, all the big boys, all the big money strikers. He destroyed them. So, like I remember, he got 3 assists in the first 3 games when he didn't score, so he was chipping in with all that stuff. Then he goes on a streak. So his number is probably the best again. They're absolutely right to try and sell him now at 28.
Absolutely. So
that's what they should be.
Why the interest and why the value is probably the highest it'll ever be. That's the unique thing too about. I was going to say real quick is that there's talks about Gordon deal not being dead or blah blah blah, and how it's not dead completely because now Gordon's head's been turned, and now he's actually interested in trying to see it through, and it got me thinking as to it got me thinking about a bigger picture about Newcastle. I'll bring that up later, but it also got me thinking if they are going to sell these players, or if they are selling these players, now is the time to sell Gordon. I brought this point up on I forget what channel, on a different channel. I was and they answered my question. The only thing that sucks is sometimes when you're in the chat, they don't do what we do on this channel, which is try to be very interactive with the chat. Allow for the person to talk or take a comment, hear our opinion, and then maybe have the chat answer back a little bit, as to if there's context that we mix. And one thing that I was trying to bring about in my comment about, for instance, with the Gordon thing, hypothetically, if we were to go out there and spend, we're not, but if we were to spend £100 million on Gordon, guess what? There is absolutely no way in God's creation that we are making back $100 million on Gordon in that next sale. I'd be more than willing to bet that there's peaks to players' values, and if there's any peak that would be ever said, 100 million, and I think that's an over-evaluation for Gordon already, but 100 million is the peak of what you would possibly get for Gordon. I don't think there's going to be another deal out there that you're going to get 120 million or 150 million for Gordon. I just don't. It's not a knock against the player. The sheer fact that you're even being mentioned in the £100 million range is a kudos to you and your performances and your talents. But I got pushback on this other channel about, they were trying to they kept bringing in Nico Williams for some reason into the conversation, and they were talking about how Gordon is a good player and how he did this, he'll do that. And I'm like, yeah, but the point is, you want to get a player on the uptick. You don't want to get a player at the top of his peak of his of his value, quote unquote, because then you're spending the most money on the player. You want to get Caicedo when he's 20 million, not when he's getting valued at 100 million. You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, hopefully not, but hopefully sometimes you need to be able to go out and go, right, but this is the player we need, and obviously that's not Gordon, but I know that is part of what Liverpool do. They build in that, they call it how did they phrase it? They want to buy players who have yet to reach their potential, that's 100% part of their buying strategy is
Right.
to do what you were talking about there. You were putting it in a financial sense, they're putting it in a sporting sense, but it means the same thing. It means buying a guy for 40 million,
Right.
not and allowing him to turn, and then hopefully turning him into an
Right.
80 like, and if you turn a guy who's worth 40 into 80, then things have probably gone well.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you don't just sit him on the bench and for, oh, now he's worth 80. So it's the things, they do go hand in hand.
Right.
But you're exactly right. But at the same time, it would be nice if not every year, but every
Right.
couple of
You do
years,
what
it we just,
MK says right there. Statement signing.
that statement signing goes, it's, yeah, he's going to cost 80. He's 26, but he's the best in the world and he's what we need. So guess what? We just went and did it. It's not the model, it's not the norm, but it can be done.
Yeah.
You just, that's how you always like to be one of those clubs that, I want us to do it. Like, it would be amazing if every year we bought a player for 20 million and 2 years later he's worth 80.
Right.
That would be brilliant. But it's just to know that you can go out there and go, hey, no, look, Real Madrid, sit down. We're taking this one. Or, you know,
Right.
we're not, you know, not this, I don't know what the right word for it, but we're not sitting there waiting for scraps either. We can
No,
get
I think the change.
Well,
I
we
think it's
need-
also changed, Brian. I also think it is the field, the playing field has also changed somewhat, at least, in with the PSR and all that other stuff, and how you can you can monitor the books and such. But it's also changed with emphasis being more so than not now on academy players. If anything, there's talks about how with these new rules that are out there, they are going as far as to investigating clubs as to, are you over evaluating even your youth academy players? I know that you spoke about like the Newcastle deal, you know, and there's like talks about the Chelsea, you know, these Chelsea deals that are getting made. There's talks about, there's talks about certain clubs over evaluating their youth players, getting substantially higher return for their youth players and having that all be profit, especially since it's all be profit. That is very, very big. So now, like, it's another thing that Premier League and even UEFA, I guess, in a little bit have little issues with. Did you want to say? You wanted to say something, Link? Do you want to chime in?
But I mean, you look at Brighton; they were able to identify Caicedo, McAllister. Who's that striker they've got? What's he bloody called? Someone Jesus? No, not Jesus. What's he called? Brighton's striker? Pedro, Pedro or something.
Oh yeah.
Well,
no,
they bought him from Watford for 30 million. So
the South American, right? The South American player, right?
Yeah, they bought him from Watford for 30 million. So he's their record signing. So yeah,
he bought him from South America. He was the one that was at Watford. Yeah.
So even they will go out and, you know, they'll spend money when they need to. They're not all about these kids either. Like, if you listen to some people, Brighton buy all their players for 3 million quid and sell them for 90. Honestly, if you listen to some people, you think that's what they do.
The same way the Brighton identified Caicedo and McAllister, there must be other midfielders, defenders, fullbacks we could identify and bring over for a small fee. Surely.
Well, you let them go to that proving ground that is other clubs. I mean, there's no way around. I'm fine with that. I've always been fine with that. Like, you don't know if they can do it in the Prem until they can do it in the Prem. And how do you find out they can do it in the Prem? Do you take them? Do you take the risk and go to, like, do you turn around? Right. Because if you turn around to our fans, right, who are all crying out for a new DM, right, say 2 years ago, or say 3 years ago, right, say everyone's up in arms in a new DM, and FSG come out and say, job done, lads, we've got the position locked down, we've signed this kid called Moises Caicedo for £2 million from Ecuador, and no one's ever heard of him, don't worry, job done. Everyone would have lost their shit. They would have completely lost their shit. They just look back now. I'm not saying you're doing this, Lee, but some people say this now. Why didn't we just do that?
Was his name too, by the way?
Yeah, João Pedro. Yeah, if we'd gone out and done that and said that's our only DM signing, all those people that were crying out for a DM would have lost their minds. They wanted a big famous guy that cost 50 million.
Don't you? You always do. But you
Yeah,
know what
so
I'm saying?
That's the
I
whole
know what
thing.
you're saying, Lee. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying.
Players who are brought in not to be like, we're not buying them to replace anybody or because there's a big need. It's just like because they're a good player, and hopefully after a small while of acclimatizing, you'll be able to see something from them.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just
Yeah,
want
loan them out,
play.
or whatever it needs to be, but get those guys in. Yeah, on our books. But I know some clubs are happy to just go down the route of letting other clubs buy these guys because guess what? Then they all sat around and they thought, yeah, that really works, doesn't it? When they go from one club in South America to a smaller club in Europe, and then they go to a big club, but they cost a lot when they go to the big club. How about if we owned the club in South America, the smaller club in Europe, and the big club? That would really work, wouldn't it? And that's where we are now. They want to own all the clubs in the chain. So all the big clubs now want to own 6 or 7 other smaller clubs so that they can literally do that and farm them out. Just farm them out and pick the best ones, bring them to Anfield, bring them to Chelsea. But yeah, they want to own and take that possibility for a smaller club to unearth a gem and then charge 60 million for it. Top market value. No. They want to buy the club that finds the gems. So they get the best price.
Yeah. Trying to answer a question that's being raised in the chat here.
I see Niolante. How we doing, Niolante?
Yes,
and Daryl. I didn't say hello to Daryl.
Yes, hello, Daryl, as well. Hello to Richard. Hello to all those that are joining us again. Hi, Laura's in the house. Big up to you, Bonkers. MK Toe, Cedric's in the house. Big up to Mark as well, whose comment we brought up earlier. And Lee as well. Lee Wizkid, by the way. What I was trying to offer into the chat, though, is that I think they're bringing up something about our midfield. And I saw Nolante answer Richard's question, but I mean, being that our midfield is probably out of all of the position, all the positions on the pitch, our midfield is certainly the most probably stacked with players.
Oh, absolutely stacked.
But
purely numbers wise, I know some people.
GM.
Sorry, yeah, I know some people think when you say stacked, you mean like it's stacked. I just mean numbers wise, whatever you think of the players, But from a numbers point of view,
it is a pretty. If you were to go down the list of players that qualify to be a midfielder, and again, that's not putting Harvey Elliott at right wing. That's putting him at right mid or something, or even at a mid. Yeah, that's not saying. I know people be like, well, Fabio has played, Carvalho has played in as a left wing in a game, which he has, and which he did decent against Newcastle. He had the winning goal against Newcastle in that game, but it still is. He's still more of a midfielder than he is a winger or a attacking forward. And if you really look at that list, there's a lot of players, and that's not even including like your Clarks or your McConnells, who are all talented players, young but still talented players that are going to eventually get their opportunity.
Oh yeah, you don't even need to go there at all. Before, yeah, you can just go even with people. You could say people who played in that position for us in the league last year. Right. I think get up to 8, 9 pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, very quickly.
And then you want to if you're putting Trent in there as well, then that's the other thing. Is he a midfielder next year?
Huh. This is interesting too. I'm going to bring up the Adrian thing right after this comment, so we can get back into the lineup of the show here. But Hyler is saying Barca president Laporta came out today with a statement. He says, this is his quote, "We can afford signing Nico Williams if we want." He says, unquote.
Yeah.
Hyler saying that is very interesting nugget of financial information. That means that Barca is there, meaning that if they can, I'll paraphrase for him somewhat, if they can afford Nico Williams, then possibly they can afford Diaz. That's basically what he's trying to get at.
58
I don't
for
know
like,
if Barcelona can necessarily afford Nico Williams, to be honest with you.
no, they
I don't
can.
know they might they might say might not be what they might be able to do. Let's be honest.
No, that was another thing. Romano was doing a show tonight, and he was saying that they've come out and said that they can do that deal if they want, and the president has come out and said, because they're all in for him. Apparently, we've been looking at him for years. Arsenal want him, and one other English club maybe. But yeah, that sounds like it's actually a kind of a serious thing. He's come out and said that if they want to, they can make that deal happen. But like we're saying, it's 58 million, right? That's a release clause, but there's also tax for some reason involved in it, which is a new one on me. So there's tax as well. So I don't know, but I still think Diaz would cost a lot more than that 58 plus tax, whatever it might be. I don't think the fact that they can afford his deal means they can afford Diaz. I don't know about that at all. But apparently that's a serious story. He's come out and said that they can, and they haven't. It's not like they're in imagine like a president of another club just coming out and saying, yeah, we can afford to buy your player. It's like, hang on, what? You're not in negotiations with us.
Right.
Why you're not talking to our player. So why are you coming out and name checking specifically our player?
It's Juan Laporte, and he's a renter quote.
Yeah. Come on, that's there's no need for that unless you're actually going to shut up or put up or shut up. Then
put up or shut up is what I say.
Don't be talking about in the press. We could afford to take him if we wanted. Well, fucking get on the phone.
Do it. Yeah, get on the phone, bro.
You haven't spoken to us about it, so this is all very kind of.
That's just a lot of posturing. I think a lot of it's just, it is what it is with that crap. All right, let's get into this last tribute portion, and then we can get back more so heavily into what the people want, which is the transfer talk. And this is the last part of last thank you I wanted to include, and that is Adrian. Adrian has also finally come to the decision and made the announcement that he'll be leaving the club officially. Me personally, I definitely have enjoyed the little bit of banter here and there about Adrian, but I also respect the fact that Adrian is someone that if he didn't show up big and didn't do what he did, we wouldn't have some of the accolades that we have in our trophy closet. So I would like to say I wish you all the best, and wherever your next journey or adventure might take you, Adrian. You're a true professional and someone that's helped a host of young players and even veteran players learn from your experience and your team mentality and your knowledge base. Look, you'll never walk alone is something that I believe is true. I think the tribute that he put out there was a great tribute, actually. It's really, really. I know he wasn't there at the computer, chopping up the video and putting all the things together, but the tribute that they put together for him with his help was a fitting tribute where it made you proud to say, thank you, and and we wish you the best. He understands. We spoke on this earlier. He truly does understand what it means to be a Liverpool Red. He truly does understand what it means to be a Liverpool Red. And he was emphasizing that immensely with quotes from, the Shankly quotes or, and all these different things that he was saying. He really does understand what it is to be a Red. And that's something that you hope every player embarks on when they start their journey with Liverpool, is they either already understand it or at least come to understand what it means to represent this club, and I think that Adrian has. We'll start with the Irishman this time. Did you want to say something about Adrian before we go back into transfer talks again?
Yeah, I suppose I don't want to have a dig at people. Like, I like the guy. You were a goalkeeper. I was very tall. Like, I am very tall, but I was very tall as young, you know. So I always got picked in goal. I played in goal a lot until I was able to, you know, trap a ball and stuff. So this guy's become a bit of a meme for some fans, but I know, and you know, even that playing at the most basic level, the idea of becoming a goalkeeper for Liverpool is no joke.
No, it's not.
The idea of being good enough to actually play in cup for a team the size of Liverpool, this whole he's getting 50 grand a week to do nothing, this kind of thing, like to get to where he is at that level for us, and the club wanted to keep him, which says a lot about, you know, how he is as a person and a character, you know. So to be able to get to a point where you can, he wasn't like a third choice keeper. He actually played games for us, proper games.
Yeah,
I don't like, he never let us down ever. Like, people would say,
he was the last goalkeeper to win at Etihad for us, actually.
Yeah, well, that one mistake that he made, name a goalkeeper that's never made a mistake. So I think it almost got my back up a little bit, because like, to be a goalkeeper at his level, people just tend to kind of make a meme of the fact that he just shows up at Liverpool every day and does nothing. He's integral. Right. They're all integral. Right. You don't get into a club like that unless you're a big part of what goes on there. So I wish him really well. Again, that's really all you can say about him. I don't think he ever let us down. I really don't. I just a really good quality third choice goalkeeper.
Yeah, and exactly, a good backup to the backup. I mean, any that's, you can't ask for much more from
the mentality. Has to be bang on, doesn't it? Your mentality has to be bang on. Can you imagine, right? If you're a goalkeeper, right, and you get an offer to go to like one of the top MLS clubs, and they say to you, look, we got 3 keepers, 3 keeper slots. We're losing one. We want you to come in, but your third choice, that's you. I mean, this guy's my number 1, that guy's my number 2. I want you to be number 3. You come in, you work with the boys every day in training, you do your job. Like, are you going to go in there and just be like, oh, I'm going to kick up a stink because I don't play and I don't get picked? Or are you going to go in there knowing what your job is and be, like you say, honored to be at a club like Liverpool, even just to be at the club?
Right.
I think you'd go in there with that. That's the right kind of third choice goalkeeper that goes in, knows his role, knows it's almost kind of like half coach, semi coaching, and has the right, always shows up with a smile on his face, happy to be at training, train hard, train properly, set the right example, because you're probably 35, you know, and you just know your role almost. You know, you don't need some guy that's there going, no, boss, I want to play. No, you got that guy, and they need to be right for the role, and I think he was spot on. So, I don't think it was no reason we wanted to keep him.
When he brought Adrian in, he must have identified how good he was in the squad as a conduit.
The character, the character, the man.
One of Klopp's things was creating a good vibe in training, wasn't it? Like, in a positive and all. You know, all coaches do that, but Klopp seems to have a special way of doing it. And Adrian seemed to fit in with that, didn't he? Like, of being there and being enthusiastic and pumped up for like training and whatever else. Like,
no dickheads. The no dickheads policy goes a long way.
Goes a long ways, yeah. Goes a long way. So, Lee, did you want to say something real quick, or quick or long? Doesn't matter.
They're actually being paid for training as well as playing. So, like, you know, they better take training seriously, like, you know. And I'm glad that Adrian did and was great for Klopp in that respect. Like, you know, just creating a good vibe around the place, like, and everything, and keeping everyone on their toes.
I did say we're going to go back to transfer news, but there was I think I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, but you won't be that. It's not. It's not. You shouldn't be sorry because this guy is someone that's loved by a good majority of us. Not everyone, but I can't always. We can't go on complete generalities. But you'd be hard pressed to find someone that is anti this next individual, and that is. I'm going to say your name. You can rise up from your seat, young man. Virgil van Dijk. Happy 33rd birthday to Virgil van Dijk. Today is his birthday, actually.
He's shite. Overrated. Overrated.
Hey, you don't know what he's getting up for right here. You never know. Here to say that.
Yeah, come on, Birch. Come on, this show.
That season when he finished ahead of us and got in the Champions League, a lot of Newcastle fans were saying Botman was better than BVD now that they were above us in the league, saying, yeah, he's performing better. And there were like a lot of Arsenal fans that season saying Saliba's better and all that, because we have one poor season.
No. This man right here, great photos, by the way.
Newcastle fans, man.
Oh, man. Yes. Happy 33rd birthday to Virgil. Some interesting notes. I mean, like they're once again saying that, is there a question if he has resurmounted himself as the king of the defense in the world? I personally think he has. I thought that last year was a testament of his him taking the crown. I think it was one of those situations where I don't necessarily know if there was anyone that really had the crown. I just think it was like, when the heavyweight belt or whatever, or the championship belt is, it's like no one has it. It's like, so you had to like figure out who has it. There's like that little void. I think that's what happened with Virgil when he had his injury and had to, fight to get to reestablish his form and to reestablish his aura, as people put it out there. But I mean, like, yeah, what was interesting, there were some stats that came out about Virgil, and this is like things that were in Squawker and as well. Squawker is great website, by the way. And they're talking about not only his Liverpool statistics, but they're bringing up his statistics in the Euros, and they're talking about how in the Euros, no player at the Euros has won more aerial duels than Virgil van Dijk. It's not a big. It's not he was basically doing that in the Prem last year as well. He has done so with an accuracy of 90%. That's what accuracy is at for his aerial duels. He's only lost 2 aerial duels. He's only lost 2 aerial duels all tournament. It's pretty incredible situation. Yeah, he's had the best aerial duel success rate with 15 or more contested, and he's also had the best aerial duel success rate with 25 more or contested. I just think that Virgil is an exceptional player. Obviously, I think all of us do on this panel, and I think the majority of us do in the chat. But big up to his 33rd birthday. Does it with this looming contract talk? Does that 33rd birthday being here now, does that kind of make you give you a little bit of pause on signing him to? Like, what is the number of deal that you would want to sign him to? In the chat, you can tell me what you would do too. But what's the deal that you would offer him?
Doesn't have to give me pause for thought. It has to give the boys at the top pause for thought. Don't bet for a second that it won't.
Well,
doesn't matter who he is. Doesn't matter. They look at numbers. They look at cold hard facts. And they look at a 33-year-old and they're going to say, we want to keep you. What do you want? And then they're going to say what they want. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what happens after that. Because if what they want and what FSG are prepared to do is a million miles apart, because he's good enough to get the big money.
220 or something like that.
Are you going to offer him a pay cut? Are you going to put a pay cut? I'm not saying you. I'm just saying if you're FSG. let's just say, right, and he's 33 now, and he wants another 3 years. Are you going to offer him less money? I wouldn't have the balls to. So what do you do? It's a tough one. Maybe these are 225, something like that. I mean, we can all sit here and go, he's obviously going to be class for the next 4 years because he's Virgil. But do the boys at the top to sign the checks? Do they think that?
I don't know if I give him 3 years. I would give him. He's got 1 year left on his contract. This year. I would give him. I would say I would give him 2 years on top of the one that he has for 3 years. I wouldn't say to him. Yeah. Oh no. I would give him a bump in salary too.
You'd bump him. Oh.
Yeah, I would definitely bump him in salary. But I would also and the reason why I would bump him, and I know that sounds like, oh well, it's not my money. I get that. But why I would say I would bump his salary up is because if you look around the league and you look at the other players that are playing his position, they're making his wage, if not better, And for some players that are making those wages, I get that they're not the same age stage and the likes, and they possibly won't see the same, somewhat downward performance levels, if anything. But I can see getting another 3 years out of Virgil. I could see that. I could see that being a case where we could get 3 years out of him. 4 years, I might be pushing it, but 3 years, I could see.
So you're saying bump him to 250? Is that what would you be happy at that? Would you be happy with? I mean,
it depends on what number he's going to come at me with.
Yeah. Okay, well then why? And I know
because he might come out. He might say, "I want 300,000."
Yeah. So, and you were saying that's a fair wage for someone like him. That what he's doing, 250 grand a week at 33. Right. I just want to take that down. I want to make note of that, and not just because of you, because I've been getting pushback saying we're not going to offer Nico Williams 300 grand a week, and I'm saying that's going rate for a player like that these days.
Right.
So if Virgil at 33 should be getting 250 or could be getting 250, then I think it's why are people you can't give Nico Williams 250, 280 for a goal scoring midfielder, young guy, attacker. I mean, if Virgil at that age, like this, what some people, I'm getting a lot of pushback on Nico Williams wages. Like, dude, we got to be at that table. If you want people like him, that's what they're going to cost you. That's what you're going to have to pay these guys. Like you're saying, if you want, so if you want to be in,
that's what it costs for. That's what I think. I think the pushback I would give, and I'll allow Lee to chime in too. The pushback I would only say is that it's similar to when we were talking about De Ligt, or we're talking about some of the other, or De Jong, Frankie De Jong. Both players in two different leagues, but yet in those leagues, the salary wages in those leagues, or the wage books in those leagues, is not structured the same as the Premier League. And I mean, I think the sheer fact that KDB, who's an exceptional player, another now getting long in the tooth player, is making phenomenal numbers when it comes to his salary, despite the fact of him being an older player. I think that's why Virgil could qualify for that kind of spending. I think that you're not going to have a situation where you have a Casemiro situation where you have a 30-something-year-old player getting 300,000. I'd have to double check on Casemiro, but I know he makes at least 300,000 at least.
Yeah, he's on tree.
And not getting the return, Virgil van Dijk's a player that played almost every single game last season. He's a player that that you really do count on and expect a lot of key return. He's obviously our captain. He's all those different factors that are thrown into the.
You're paying him for the past. You're paying him for what he's done.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what happened with Mo Salah.
Yeah, you're paying him for what. You're almost retrospectively. Too. Yeah, you're paying him for what they've done.
Which I think is which I think is cool. I don't mind that.
No, exactly, and that's what we called it, Tyler. We said he was on 220, but thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. So you are kind of giving him a lifetime achievement award kind of thing if you're giving him. But all I'm trying to say is, like, if you are just not to you and just to the people out there that have been pushing back.
Mhm.
Like, if you want to be in the market for a player like Nico Williams or Nico Williams,
I get what you're saying, though. Yeah.
then
Yeah,
you're going to be
yeah,
talking
right.
those numbers.
Right.
Like, you
Yeah,
might
that's
not be
right.
paying 3, but if you don't, you're not going to be paying less than 250. You know, because we've spoken about it before. The big name players, the big prices, everybody wants them. Everyone would take them. It's just who can afford them. So
Mhm.
he's, you know, that's why I'm not too shocked. I'm not really overly bothered about wages, really, because if we can afford it, we can afford it. And I've always thought that that's not something that American owners are kind of balk at. Is, I mean, these guys come from the land of baseball and basketball, where individuals get paid king's ransoms. They are very comfortable with the whole very good player gets lots of money kind of concept. They're cool
Right.
with that. They understand that. It's like LeBron James, yeah, we bought him an island and we give him 300 million a year and he has shares in NASA. You know, they know the best guys get the best money. They're cool with that. So I've never been worried about us walking through and going, oh, he wants how much a week?
As
You
far as
know,
Virgil goes, his fitness record is really good. So you'd be looking at him
uh,
continue that like and hoping that it didn't change and giving him a small bump to 250 with an extended 2-year contract to go on the one he's already got would be sensible. I mean, you could give him 3, so he's got another 4 seasons here. But
Yeah.
2's sensible, isn't it? 2 would be sensible to see where he is at 36 and say, you know, see if you want to re-sign him then.
Right. I think if we're at a place where we need to resign him, then we haven't. Then obviously, players like Kwanzaa, players like even Kanate, players like the rumored Euro or whoever we do bring in as that third, fourth option haven't amounted to what they need to amount to, because in the next 3 years, you would hope that Kwanzaa at age 24, 25, or would
hmm.
Nate would be what, 20? Nate's what, 23 right now, I think, right? So he'd be like 26, I'd say. Um, he's like 20, 23, 24, something like that. So, at that stage of their careers, you would hope that they would be the next Virgil van Dijk, or they would be at that level of being the top player. Whereas, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily need to hold on to a player like Virgil, other than maybe, and it doesn't happen too often. And this is the honest God truth. It doesn't happen too often where a player retires with your club.
You
Not
look
too
at
often.
Thiago Silva. What's Thiago Silva now? 38, 9? 38, 39,
Yeah,
Thiago
that's what I
Silva.
said. I made that comparison in the chat. I said I could see him playing to like a
Oh, he's a
Thiago,
perfect example. Yeah.
yeah, to a Thiago
He's
style
gonna go play at
career.
Chelsea because he came in on a free, didn't he, from PSG?
Yeah.
So he must
Mhm.
have got a really good wage at Chelsea, Thiago Silva, for a
Mhm.
centre half. Ditto with
Even
Milan.
people,
You
they were
might think,
saying he was done when he left PSG to go to
When he left
Chelsea.
PSG, they said he was done.
You know, and they
And
gave
I'll admit, I was
Chelsea.
very surprised for them to
Oh, he was
invest so much.
older. He
Yes.
was older than VVD is now
Yeah.
when he joined Chelsea,
oh
Yep.
yeah,
and
he's
he was their Player of the Year
big.
for 3 or 4 seasons.
Yep.
So all being well, Virgil can go on and do something like that. But that's the fans' way of looking at it. That's it ain't our money, sign him up kind of way of looking at it. It's just, is that how the boys look at it? Is that how
Mhm.
Virgil looks at it? I still have it in my mind that there's one or two people out there that, or one or two people in the squad that would be happy to call time on their time at the same time as Klopp did and go, you know, with him. I think there's a couple of guys that kind of think, yeah, I'm kind of, this is my time up as well. Like Mo and Virgil and Robbo,
Mhm.
kind of been here through it all. Those guys that are in their 30s now. So we'll see in the next 3 years, probably they'll all be gone. Apart from Trent. I mean, the front, the Mo, Salah, Mane, Firmino, and then Virgil and Robbo. So I just think Virgil, if it's up to us Just keep him on a rolling contract. If he wants to stay, he's fit. Keep giving him 250 every year that he's fit and wants to stay. Put him on a rolling deal. I don't know if they do them anymore. They used to do that. You know,
Yeah.
just an option to renew it every year. He's happy with the club's happy with him, but I don't think players really go in for that anymore. But that would be the ideal one, I'd say.
With that COPA miners, because Slot's Dutch, it was saying that Slot's really interested in bringing COPA miners here.
I think, I know that Coop Miners. I know that if Daryl's still with us, that's like Coop Miners is like his Beetlejuice. It's like
he's going to Juve.
You say Coop Miners 3 times, and Daryl will pop up because he loves himself some Coop Miners.
No, he's going to Juve. Juve
is the team.
Coop Miners,
it looks like it's going to end up with his services. I was going to transition into what I just told Hyler is, and the comment that he just brought up as well, and it's about this young man who has done well over in
hey, Redbird.
Big up, Redbird.
Redbird. All right.
But yes, breaking news is that Liverpool have turned down offers from Mainz and Wolfsburg for Vandenberg, with the defender set to be handed the chance to shine in preseason, as he has impressed Slot. He has
Shine on, you crazy diamond.
Yeah. He has Slot does like his talent. Slot likes the idea of utilizing utilizing someone that I didn't know that was that quick or didn't have that exceptional pace or something on those lines, but apparently he has picked up himself as being a quick center half, and he also has been someone that has done well for his clubs in Germany. But there have been talks about him being looked at by also not only German clubs, but also possibly PSV, I believe it was PSV that was interested in his services as well. But it's one of those cases where they just don't think that they can meet the evaluation price that they're asking for. I know that it was reported to be in the 20s, if not 20 million. More likely 17 million is the number that they'll probably end up getting. And the price that PSV, the price that Mainz have offered is just not for a player that has had great numbers, has done really, really well. I get the fact that, you're not Bayern Munich, for instance, but you're still going to have to pay. This isn't Liverpool's not a thrift store. You know what I mean? You have to pay. You just spoke, and I'll allow for you to go after Reddit. I'm going to land this point. Irishman just brought up the point about Nico Williams and his wage bill and the likes. Look, players are going for value, for decent values. I'm not saying that Sepp Vandenberg is at the same evaluation as a Nico Williams, but what I am saying is that these evaluations have been heightened over the entire market. So I get that you might not want to spend that kind of money to some of these other teams, but let's not get it twisted. PSV, you're going to Champions League, or you've been to Champions League. Some of those teams that are being offered or are in Europa or have been to Europa, or have possible ties to getting into Champions League. You're going to make these kinds of pushes for Europe. Guess what? You're going to have to spend the money for Europe. So that's how I see it. Lee, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Mainz don't have 20 million euros or 20 million.
No.
But PSV is another story. PSV should
Sorry, Lee. Who's the other club you mentioned? You mentioned another German. Who was the other German club you mentioned?
Wolfsburg.
Sorry. Yeah, Lee, go ahead. Sorry, Wolfsburg.
Yeah, Wolfsburg as well. They used to be half decent once upon a time, Wolfsburg, but not so much now. Like they have fallen away. But yeah, he's got to be worth like between 15 and 20 million pounds, not euros. He's got to be worth
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Surely. He's been playing
Right.
consistently for Mainz now for 2 seasons. Isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah. I think the number that was reported was, or at least the one I think the number was like they'd offered 12 million, and the number that the lowest we would probably come down was that 17 million that I said. So they're 5 million pounds away from getting the player or being a part, if not 8 million, but at least 5 million to really get into some serious conversation about the player. And I'm saying to myself, look, if you can't come up with 5 million pounds, man,
Mainz can't look. Well, let's not be too harsh on Mainz for trying to buy the player.
No, I think Mainz can't afford him. I just think that Mainz doesn't.
Well, no, I'm saying don't be too harsh on them for not being able to. Like if they've come
I
with the
don't know.
money,
I think they can afford him. I think Mainz can afford him.
Oh no, they wouldn't be. No, they're a really tiny club, man. That kind of money, that's putting. I'd say anything over 10 probably puts them out of the. Probably puts them out of the running. I'd say. Yeah, I did like the Wolfsburgs and PSVs. I mean, Healer is falling for all. I mean, Healer just said to Erlante there that he was because I'm not talking about this guy in particular. I see that you see this stuff every year. I've been around long enough now. You see it every single year. There's always a guy like this, and Neilante saying he thinks he's going to leave. He's saying, okay, well, it's come out this week. Okay, it's come out, has it? It's been released that he's the best player in training. Hyler, come on, man. Most of our squad is either at COPA or at the Euros or on a break. The only people at training are these. So they're releasing all these statements about how he's the best player in training. He's the best at this. He's the best at that. He's brilliant. He's that. Does that not sound like a sales brochure to you? Like, the guy is on the market. What do you think they're going to come out and say? He's awful. He's useless. He's one of the worst players in training. This is what happens when a club is trying to sell a player or a club is trying to buy a player. They release all this good PR about how he's been unbelievable in training. His fitness levels are through the roof. Arne Slot absolutely loves him, has plans for him, i.e. he's good enough playing this Liverpool team. 2 weeks later, he's gone. I've seen it 1,000 times. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but what I'm saying is this is what they do. They bring a guy in, they start talking him up in the press. Oh, no, the club doesn't want to get rid of him. No, they value him highly, i.e., translate that to don't offer us 8 million quid. I've seen this movie a million times before.
PSV could afford that fee, but whether they'll pay it or not is another matter. But they have European football every season, PSV. So they're a different proposition to Mainz financially because they're constantly in Europe and competing and that. And we're
if he's gone to Mainz for 2 years and turned into the next Beckenbauer, and we keep him brilliant, I can't wait to be wrong about it. I really can't. But at the moment, it's just I've seen it. So this just to me is like, yeah, I've seen this script before, seen this movie. Just take his name out and put in a different player's name. Best player in training. Manager loves him. No way we're going to sell him. 2 days later, bing, off to Newcastle. It's just, if we're talking about a player who's been knocking on the door. When did we bought him after we won the Champions League final, lads. That's how long this guy is here, and we're still talking about whether he gets in the team or not. It's crazy.
No, and I get what you're saying. It is kind of crazy. Bring up here.
Does anybody know anything about this other guy? Sorry, what's his name? Leo or Rio? Do we know anything about him? Does anyone know anything about him? Quickly.
Oh, okay. So I was going to bring
up. What's his second name?
So let me bring it up first. So the other player that we are in the market for is this young man here. Liverpool are closing in on a deal to sign Rio Nagmoha.
Yeah, I don't know. I only heard Rio. You see, that was the thing.
Ngoma.
Oh, okay. What kind of
As
janky
he's
tournament is
leaving the
that? Yeah.
Chelsea Academy. LFC are set to break historical wage structure for the academy to sign Rio, who's highly rated by the club. He can play midfield, but he's more of a winger. So it's apparently the deal is set to be completed soon. He's a very, very talented player. He's one that's highly rated by Chelsea, but also the fact that we are getting him and doing what they just said, which is restructuring our wage structure for the academy, says a lot. Meaning that he's not going to get paid he's not going to get an academy rate, basically. The academy rate that we normally give out to the players, which is pretty much like standard when it comes to a lot of the academy players, is pretty much what they end up getting. But this individual is so talented that they are willing to break that structure. Did you want to say something on this player, or did you want to? I don't know if anyone has any information per se as to what it is to look forward to this player, what he actually brings to the fold. But he is a talented player. I know that, because I mean, like if we're willing to do what we just said, what I just said, that we're going to do. That shows that it says a lot that this player is talented.
No doubt. I mean, if we're this comes back to what I was mentioning earlier on about the wages that certain players might want or might be needed. I think this is us saying that talents cost. If we've been burned before. We've been burned for a very long time. I'm not saying you go out and do what Chelsea do, but the amount of times we lost out on X, Y, and Z player because certain other clubs were prepared to pay him just that bit too much more than we could. Not $5,000 a week more, but $25,000 a week more, $30,000 a week.
Mm-hmm.
When we were offering 40, they're offering 60. You just can't get around that. I just like the fact that I don't want us to be that kind of club, be identifying the right kind of talent and then going, yeah, okay, we can make that happen. Our historic wage structure in these things, I've been led to believe before this could have been updated recently, but I'm sure it's not far off. It was $100,000 a year, basically. So the most you could earn as a academy kid, and not that many of them were earning it, was £100,000 a year, which is about, say, what's that, the 1,800 a week, 1,900 a week probably. So nearly £2,000 a week. So that's huge money as a teenager. So of course you should be happy with that in an academy. You want to be kicking up a stink for more than that at 17, $2,000 a week. Come on, you're cool. $100,000 a week. So academy wages is 50 a year. Okay, so then that's I don't know if it's $50,000 a year. It might have gone up since then. So obviously we're prepared to pay this kid a whatever. So then that breaks your stroke. So then it just shows you that we're prepared to have a little bit of wriggle room. Again, it's not, we're not bringing in a first team player, but it shows maybe an acceptance of the fact that this is how you get it done. Maybe, I don't know, but I just like the fact that these kids are prepared to turn down. Probably if he's at Chelsea, I heard he said he had offers everywhere. And no doubt he did.
I'm sure he did. He plays for England's national team, and he also is a player that has been heavily rated by them. He's just young. I mean, he's playing for the Chelsea under 21s, and he's 15, going on 16 years old. So that says a lot. that says a lot right there, because you know how Chelsea have an exceptional academy of players that they have, being in London and having a pipeline of players that they've already established via the previous administration. So it says a lot, I think, that we're able to come in. And I also think my 2 cents to this is that I think it says a lot that we're getting this player, but it also says a lot that of what the youth academy and the pathway towards playing for the senior team really does radiate with these players, in that there is a pathway to actually playing. Most times you're going to be, you're going to be put out on loan. Chances are the loan team might be the team you end up playing with in actuality, because they'll possibly be the team that goes in and tries to actually buy you to, if you are a good enough player for them as well, to utilize for their team. But with Liverpool, there's been a unique situation where we've had some players that I don't think many people necessarily saw them being utilized or even relied on as heavily as we are now with these players. But there is a pathway towards playing, and I think that is probably a big factor when it comes to some of these young players and their parents, especially thinking, where are we going to be moving? Where are we going to be? Where are we going to be going? And bringing the whole family with us, and going and being in this environment where we can possibly set up some roots and actually develop and grow our family, much less the young player that is going to be a part of this club. I think that does make a difference.
Yeah, I think the only
some of their
the only team in England that can compete with us is United, because they have their whole thing. They've never gone a season without having a youth academy product on their bench.
Mm-hmm.
Now these days that's different, but they're up there. You have to give them props on that. They've always developed young players.
Right.
Chelsea, they don't really. I think, like, if you're a kid going to Chelsea, it's like, if it goes really well for you in that academy, they'll sell you to a top club.
Mm-hmm.
You'll end up, you might play for Chelsea, probably won't, but like, if you're really lucky, they'll sell you to a top club. Where I think, the kids going into Liverpool academy, it's more like, you do well, you'll play for Liverpool. Or maybe they'll sell you to a good club, but no, they're more focused on actually getting you into the team than developing you and selling you. I think that's probably what some of these guys are thinking. If I go to Liverpool, I'll get into their team, rather than they'll loan me out to Derby County and then sell me to Napoli or Bayern or something. Maybe, I don't know. That's the way I seem. Like, we seem to be bringing them in with a view to getting them into the team, because they can look at Bradley and Kwanzaa and Trent, these kids, and go, okay. And then you look at Chelsea and go, oh yeah, well, look, my mate did really well there, and
right.
But like, now he's a millionaire because they sold him to someone else. But you never got a chance. I suppose it's different on what they want. But if you're a kid from England, why would you go to Chelsea just to be farmed out all the time? We just go to Liverpool,
right.
To the team.
That was a bad situation too for a lot of those Chelsea players, because a lot of those Chelsea players got put on loans and they never saw London again. Never saw London again. Especially under the Roman administration. They never saw London again. And they were just used as, like, they were just getting, fees off of them. They were just, like, basically just, as you said, farming these players out to other clubs. And Roman could use them as write-offs, almost virtual write-offs. Before I let Lee say, I was going to say also, there was a comment by Bonkers. He won't even play until he's 18 or 19. I can understand. Tyler, he is a midfielder and a winger. He plays midfield and wing.
Hi, Murray.
I was saying,
hi, Murray.
Hey, how are you? Bonkers said that he won't play until he's 18 or 19 properly, and I can understand properly. Yes, properly means like he gets into regular rotation, but yeah, there is an opportunity in the sense of you getting a cap or getting an actual getting some game time. There is. I mean, I said that I'm sure people probably thought the same for Trey Neone, for instance, was never going to probably see, until he's 17, 18, probably 19 years old. Guy just he just played in a cup match, in an important cup match, and also was the youngest player. I think our youngest player or third. Was he the youngest or the third youngest? One of the two. To ever have a cap for us, to ever have an appearance for Liverpool, Trey Neone, by doing that, by being in that game. What are your thoughts on this Rio possible signing?
Jimmy here. Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy was up.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah, big up. Lee, what are your thoughts, Lee?
Sounds good. He must have watched us in the Carabao Cup final, like against Chelsea, and seen how many young players we had playing, even though some of them didn't start the game. And by the end of the game, like there were a lot of young players on the pitch for Liverpool. So he's obviously looked at that, hasn't he, and thought, that looks like a good place to go.
Mm-hmm. The other point before I get into Euros or Copa talk or whatever, we've got about like 30 minutes left in the show here. The other point that I wanted to bring up is, so our future head coach, our now head coach, I should say, we haven't seen him actually coach anything per se on the pitch just yet, other than practice and training. But he made a comment. He's made some cool comments, I thought, in his presser, where he engaged with the journos. And his quote was, "You can look at it both ways. It's big shoes to fill, or it's a team who has a winning culture." And that was on Slot taking over for Klopp. Comments like this are comments that I actually was pretty happy to see, in that he's able to at least get the concept that there's always going to be a connection to Klopp, no matter what and where we go with, there's always going to be the shadow of Klopp is always going to be hanging over the club somewhat. But I think that what's been good about it is that he's not shying away from the fact that the shadow is there, but he's not shying away from his own personal confidence in himself and his ability. And I think that's a promising case. And you don't want someone that doesn't know how to toe the line and be appreciative or be respectful of what was before you, but be optimistic and be confident in what is yet to come. And I think that's what I'm trying to get across. Go ahead.
I think you kind of just described like what the only thing. What else could he do? They showed, like your man Dave Lynn said, the Jurgen Klopp was mentioned 14 times in the first 8 questions that he got asked. It's not like he can beat. This guy has been throwing hand grenades and trip wires all over the place with regards to what Klopp would do. So,
right.
I know you're saying like but like this guy is out there shadow boxing right now. I wouldn't read too much into anything that he's doing right now. This is him just trying not to fuck it up. Because David Lynch said it. He said, I've seen him do Hey Pops, blessings, press conferences for Feyenoord. He said that was a different Arne Slot. That's not the real Arne Slot. You could see he was being really guarded. You could see he was being, like you say, trying to pay, like, because someone says to you, like, oh, hey, A12 man, so you're taking over from the other guy. So, like, he was the greatest thing of all time. He was the bestest thing ever. Like, he was the bestest manager ever, and everyone loves him. He's amazing. So, what do you think of him? And what are you going to do? It's like, what are you supposed to say? Like, How are you like these guys aren't good? Like he has to come out and say, look, of course he can't come out and go, that guy Klopp, he was useless. I'm going to rip it up. He
Mhm.
has to go out and be respectful. He has to, and he believes it as well. So these are all really awful, terrible questions that don't really get to the root of anything. That are trying to get him to make a quote about Klopp or say something about Klopp. Oh, we're going to be different, and spin it to say, oh, what Klopp was doing wasn't right or something like that. And so he's being really, really guarded at the moment in what he's saying. So I would definitely give it 3 or 4 months until you really see the real Arne Slot come out. Because right now he's going to be like, yeah, of course. And Pops is saying like, um, and I think one of the best things that Klopp ever came out with, and I think it was only something that he could kind of get away with it, was he came out and he did this thing where he was oh, all the guys yesterday were telling me about how brilliant Mr. Shankly is, how brilliant Mr. Paisley is, how brilliant Mr. Whoever it was, Fagan is. And he's like, thanks guys. Cheers for that. I've come into a club that's won nothing. Thanks for pointing out the guys who won 16 European Cups and 20. Yep, cheers for that. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for the pressure. Cheers. I get it. It's Liverpool. Why you bring it, And everyone got a laugh out of it. It's just the way he put it on. Like nobody else could have done it the way he did that. And everyone kind of went, oh shit, yeah, we're probably not helping. By going, so Mr. Klopp, this is the club that's won 17,000 trophies. He's like, yeah, but they haven't won much in the last 5 years. Give me a fucking break here. Stop bringing up all the shit they did in the past. It's not helping. It's putting more pressure on. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, actually, that makes sense. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we'll stop bringing up Shankly all the time because it was 100 years ago. Yeah, I think Slot needs to come out with that same kind of, dude, yeah, Klopp is amazing, but please, like, no need to bring him up every 5 minutes. I'm the new guy.
Yeah.
That's how I.
Once there's actually some football to talk about when we're playing friendlies, it'll be a bit different, you know what I mean? But before that time, like, he's going to have to tread really carefully, isn't he, in interviews, if he does any more before we start playing friendlies.
Yeah. I mean, right now, all he has to do is just, be respectful to those that obviously the enormous the enormous accolades and enormous respect that you should have for those that came before you. That's certainly a Liverpool thing too. And I mean, like, this club has had some great managers, and there's always been, a manager that I'm certain is pretty assured of himself and assured that he wants to establish greatness for himself as well. But it's being mindful and being respectful of that previous coach before you, which is what I was.
But just work on, and work on. Do your own thing. No one comes in and tears it up and burns it down. No one comes in and slags off the previous coach. They're all managers. Come in, but he has to be his own man and just take the anchor away. Let him do his own thing because the specter of Klopp will only make everything he does look worse. No matter what he does, won't be as good as what Klopp did. He can only do the best of what he does. And yeah, I admire the guy for coming in and being able to take that role of being the guy after Klopp and say, yeah, I can go in, I can do that. Might work, might not, but yeah, he's got. To me, he doesn't. First impressions leaves me a bit flat. Leaves me, and again, the Klopp stuff, but leaves me a little bit kind of, okay, undecided. If he just needs to be a good coach. He doesn't need to be the world's greatest communicator, which Klopp was for a while, one of them. But to me, he hasn't really kind of lifted the hairs on the back of my neck or said anything stupid. That's the main thing. You know,
That's the
Brendan,
main thing.
yeah,
It's not
Brendan
saying
did lots
something
of
stupid,
stupid.
not look right,
Yeah.
not showing that you understand the history of the club or had some idea as to where to kind of like exude
Oh,
and
I'm sure he knows.
concoct a little bit. Yeah.
I'm
And
sure he
where
knows
to kind
Liverpool.
of yeah. There was one thing.
He tried the Port City thing, that didn't land for me. I will say that though. That didn't quite land for me. When he did the comparison between Feyenoord and Rotterdam and Liverpool, and it's the easiest thing in the world. They are two port cities, and everything he said was correct about it. The type of attitude that you get in these places, the working class areas, everything is spot on. Rotterdam and Liverpool are very similar. And he had the words, but he didn't quite land it. He kind of sounded like he was just reading something off Wikipedia. So he doesn't have a change in tone. He's quite flat. He's the same all the time. So when he comes out and he maybe has a bit more life in him, he's a bit more comfortable, and you see him get a little bit more animated or whatever, then you might see the real. But yeah, you would be too. You'd be very, very guarded in this situation.
Right.
Like someone mentioned that they're mentioning Klopp all the time, trying to make him get a quote out of him, getting to say something silly. So I don't blame him for being quite bland and guarded at the moment until his feet are under the table and maybe let loose on a ref or, in something like that. And then you'll see the real Arne Slot maybe come out.
Yeah, maybe. There was a quick comment about, I did see this because I answered in the chat. Honestly says Adrian has officially signed for Betis. Let him go to serve the hot cocoa and graham crackers there.
See, here we go with this stuff again.
I think what honest, I know, but one thing I will say is that my quick response, I didn't read the other part, but him joining Betis is kind of interesting. We'll see him. That means we will most likely see him in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's his club. That's his hometown club.
Yeah, but I mean, Real Betis is
on the tour
for Liverpool in preseason in Pittsburgh at the Pittsburgh game. So, so it'll be a nice little, a quick reunion, a quick hello, goodbye and hello again.
Watch him save the penalty now in the win in the shootout.
Yeah.
You know it's going to happen. Yeah. Celebrate like a lunatic as well.
And also, honestly, that's his city. Actually, Rotterdam's his city.
Yeah, I've been there. I lived in Den Haag for a while. I've been to Amsterdam loads of times, but I've been to Eindhoven, been to Rotterdam. Rotterdam is really, really cool. It is really cool. Definitely. Yeah, it's way different to Amsterdam, that whole kind of vibe. It's totally different.
This last, I do have one more tab, but this last tab, though, really relevant tab at least, is those that are left in Euros and Copa. I know I saw Marion say something about how the kind of games that we're getting in Euros and even in Copa haven't been up to the standards of some of us, some in the media and some in the fan bases out there. It's even gotten to the point where I've seen some pundits or at least some commentators talk about how they think that international play pales when it comes to club play. I don't think that it pales when it comes to club play. Let me just say that real quick. I think that's kind of short-sighted and very shallow-minded when I hear pundits, or not pundits, but commentators say something like that, because this is the same international, like, the only thing I heard about was how great the World Cup was. This last World Cup, how great it was. And even the World Cup before this, how great that was, like that's international play. So before we get to like really, getting all like, frustrated and flustered over this Euros, you got to keep that in mind. But again, I can understand though, Euros and with I know I was on the I was a part of the Uruguay versus Brazil game. I was on there with Pops, who's in. I'm not sure. I think Pops is probably still in the chat.
He popped in and popped out.
Yeah, maybe popped in, he popped out. But yeah, Asian Reds TV did a watch on for that, and I ended up like initially Chris, big shout to Chris Angel. He was alone on the Colombia game, so you know how much I love Colombia too. So I ended up helping him out with that. Then I ended up jumping on the Uruguay game as well. I know Pop was saying it was truly painful. I think that you kind of figured, or at least I kind of figured that would be the game. A lot of times when you get these big matchups, they never amount to the kind of matchup that you think or is being, brought up as being especially when you have big name clubs or big name teams. Obviously Uruguay is a big name South American club, despite what you might think of Uruguay. They have a very historic.
Despite what we might think about Uruguay, one of the biggest clubs. No shade here, man. One of the biggest internet. They won the first freaking World Cups. Like they're they're no shade.
No shade,
man.
Uruguay.
Everyone who knows their football knows they're a big.
Yeah, they're big. Side. I mean, no, because you know why? I'll say something like that, and someone will say. Someone was taking a shot at U.S. men's national team, for instance, and they were like, they've done nothing ever, and and I'm like, well, they did something in 1935 or 1950 or so blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, who cares? No one cares about anything that was before 1975. Someone said, and I was like, that's ridiculous, man. There's a reason why, like, as in you establish, history, and that's what you build off of. That's your foundation, Like it was just
but I think even Uruguay have like 15 Copas.
They do. 14. I'll double check. I think it's 14, but it's around that number that you said.
Yeah,
14.
like they've like for a country that has a population around a quarter of the size of London. It's ridiculous what they've done on the international stage. The players they produce, like their population is around 3.5 to 4 million people.
Yeah,
and then you have to figure it like that's around the population.
You're right. You're right. By the way, they do have
15 Copas. Yeah, so they haven't just won stuff 15 million years ago. Mm-hmm. They've still been one of the most successful teams, and look at the players they produce. I don't know what's in the water there. For a country that size to produce that level of footballer consistently is just crazy. It really is. Like they've been doing it since the 1930s, doing win things. Again, like a population 3.5 million. How many of them are actually people who could play football?
They have 10,000
maybe. Yeah, like if you have a population of 3.5 million, so how many of them are women? How many of them aren't good at football? How many of them don't want to play? It's not long before you get down to 10, 20,000 people that could actually play for your country. And they've still won all of that. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I brought this tab up because this tab has on it the players that are connected to Liverpool, but also are still involved in Euros and in Copa. And there are quite a few names. I mean, there's 9 names on this list here of players that are still involved.
I've seen lots of praise for Colombia's play. I've seen lots of praise for Colombia's play. Sorry, I saw that today.
Yeah.
Is that something you've been picking up on? I saw people saying Colombia are playing the best football at the tournament, this kind of thing. I don't know. I haven't seen any of it. Is that a thing? Are they way out in front?
I think because in Colombia's games, Colombia has been fortunate to play football. That's the difference. They haven't done the one knock, and this is at least my take. The one knock was in that Uruguay game versus Brazil, for instance, it looked like it didn't look like Bielsa style football. It looked like Uruguay football. And what I mean by that is Uruguay will use the dark arts. They'll kick you. They'll play, they'll play tight to their oppositions. They'll really grind it out with you. It was like a derby, in essence. When you see Liverpool and Everton play, there's reasons why, despite the fact that we should blow Everton out the water every time we play them for the most part, there's a reason why it just never happens. It ends up being like a 1-0 or 2-1 or something silly like that, and it's because there's so much that the way that they play is like so. I'm trying to think of the words. It's so heavily rooted in knowing the importance of the match and knowing how they'll play to lose. They'll play not to lose, but they won't play to win.
The word you want is gara or garra. That's what they call it. Is gara in Uruguay. That's what Suarez. So that's what they talk about. Is that that's why they talk about in Uruguay. They have this thing where basically it doesn't matter how many times you get kicked and knocked down, you get straight back up. And you say it's just this fight, and they call it gara. Is what GARRA. That's their pain.
You're right.
Yeah, it's like this kind of.
Yeah, but I got you.
That's what they call it. It's like what it's sort of this idea that basically you do absolutely everything you can on the pitch to win, and that's why they don't consider anything that they do cheating. It's just like you were really clever to do that because then we won. Like you were really, like Suarez blocking the shot on the line with his hands. The way you're talking about the dark arts, whatever it takes to win, that's what you do because you're doing it to win for them, and they see it as.
Honestly, got the word for you.
Yeah, Gara is just war. That's their whole thing. Because like in a tiny little country surrounded by massive countries, you can get the mentality. If you don't fight to the last, you'll get overrun. There's a reason why they aren't just part of Brazil or Argentina. When you look at the map, they should just be part of one of the other countries. Tiny little thing. How did they manage to form their own country? By being tough little bastards, basically.
Yeah.
So that's their whole thing is you fight and you fight and you fight and then you get up and you fight again. And that's really it. Like that's why I think that's why they're so successful. That's why I love those players. Because you marry that with skill. I love
South American games too.
Yeah, if you can marry that with skill.
A lot of countries have that same mentality. Yeah.
It's the same. That's why I think the best centre halves in the world, as far as I'm concerned, are Argentinian centre halves because they're they're unbelievably tough and they're brilliant footballers. A good one is usually like world class, definitely, because they'll do anything to win. They're unbeatable. Like you have to be special to beat them.
Yeah. Lee, do you want to say something about these men that are still involved in these matchups? You can see on here, Cody. I think personally, Cody has had the best out of all of the Euros. I think Cody has certainly been possibly the best player so far in the Euros. There could be arguments for other players, I'm sure, but I think Cody has really brought. I don't think any other than myself, possibly, but that's just because I was rooting for Holland. I don't think many people had Holland getting as deep as they are currently right now in this tournament. And a big portion of the reason why they're there is because of Cody's play. Let's just be honest. So, do you want to add something for these Euros and Copas? What's been your takes on them? I know you haven't really watched that much of Copa, but the Euros that you've watched.
Yeah, they've been okay. People have been saying they've been poor, but I don't think they've been any poorer than the previous Euros. I can't say as with the Copa, like whether they're poorer than the other ones preceding them, like. But there's been some moments. There's been some good stuff. Has Gravenberch had any minutes, has he, for Holland?
I don't think he's played yet.
No.
But he is there. He is there, like
he's there. He's there though. He's on. Yeah. which is cool because originally he made a decision originally when he moved to Liverpool that, the Netherlands wanted him to come back and play and the likes, and he was like, hey, I want to stick with my club and get acclimated to Liverpool. And I was really, really appreciative of that, to be honest with you, because it shows that he understands that this is his career, and he's had to go with it. Obviously, in Holland, he got his big move to Germany, didn't work out. At this young age, you don't want to have 2-3 swings at the ball and miss, to basically strike out, for I guess American term. But and he, by doing so, it was seen as a knock towards Netherlands, to possibly say, okay, well, if you're not serious about the Netherlands, then maybe we're not going to offer your position to someone else and not give them a real vested opportunity at solidifying it. And they still, came back and brought him on for the Euros, which is a big sign of respect, despite the fact he's not playing, but still respect to have him on that roster, I think.
Nice. Yeah.
But a lot of good names on here. Who's been your player of the tournament so far? Lee, and then we'll go to Irishman. Who's been your player of the tournament so far? For the Euros.
I like that bit of sort of Parasvalia where he scored versus, was it Spain, was it? Portugal, I think, wasn't it? He was quite good. That's just a personal thing, because I haven't really seen much of him, so it was nice to see him playing international score. Have any of the big players stood out? Who were the big players in the Euros? From each no, not really. No, I can't say anyone stood out. Any one player. For any of the teams, really. I can't say one player above all others has stood out.
Oops, I hit the wrong button there. No one stood out for you? How about for you, Irishman?
Well, I think Lee's right, and some of the other people are right as well. That it was great in the groups, because the groups are always, if you watch international football for long enough, you'll realize that the group stages are always where the best games are, because there's a little bit more freedom in it, especially that second game. Depending on how your thing goes, there's always a bit of wriggle room in it. International football at that level very, very quickly becomes you go out on the pitch trying to win a game, very quickly becomes don't lose this, get it to 0-0, get it whatever. If you you're England, it's 0-0 after 65 minutes. It's pretty much don't mess this up. You don't go all out to win games. So I'm used to that in international football in the knockout rounds, but these ones have been especially bad. They've been there's been one or two good games, but France have yet to score a goal from open play that wasn't an own goal. They've scored, they qualified from the group without scoring a goal from open play. France.
Doesn't it?
France, no goals. The team with all the players, no goals. Portugal can barely score unless it's in a dead rubber. Turkey were brilliant when they had a go. Romania, when they had a go, brilliant. But as soon as it's gotten to these knockouts, England is like watching grass grow whilst watching paint dry. It's horrible. France and Portugal 0-0. These awful games. It was only Spain really that have shown up as the bigger teams, trying to entertain maybe. So
yeah,
Yeah, I've been used. This is what you get used to, like in semis and quarterfinals. You don't want to get knocked out. Like that's usually the mentality: is don't get knocked out. It's not like, oh, let's go out and be entertainers and be the Harlem Globetrotters and entertain
Yeah.
the crowd. Nah, man. You know, like in Germany too at the start a little bit, but some of these guys like they've been like it was the smaller teams like these the Georgias, Romanias, Turkeys, these that were actually putting on some of the best shows
Mhm.
in terms of attacking football. But yeah, it hasn't been a good watch. I know, like I'm like you. You haven't been watching the Euros. I haven't been watching the Copa. But yeah, you'd be sitting there just going, oh, what? Why did I waste an hour and a half with this? So
Mhm.
yeah, long story short, players. Yeah, Cody, Nico Williams, and also Fabian Ruiz for Spain have been excellent. But yeah, I think Cody earlier on has lit it up a bit. Nico Williams, Lamal, yeah, it's not a great tournament. It's a good tournament, but it's not a classic. It won't go down as a classic.
Yeah. I'll just answer this out loud. Then there was a question here for honesty. He says, question for the panel. We've signed a couple of youth players from different teams. Is that good, or do you prefer players come through like CJ or Kwanzaa or Trent who are at the club as kids? I don't mind either, to be honest with you. The player pool that you're drawing from in Liverpool isn't as deep as other areas
True.
of the country. So,
True.
if you can get gems like Trent or Kwanzaa, or even a Curtis, fantastic. But if you want to be realistic and keep pace with your Manchester Uniteds, with your Chelseas, with these players, with these clubs that have direct links, especially in London, especially because London is very much a hotbed for a lot of youth players. You want to do so. You want to keep pace. So that's just my personal opinion. Do you have a take on that, Lee? And then we'll go Brian.
It is always nice when they come all the way through when they're at the club, from the age of like 6 or whatever it is. It is 6, isn't it? 6 or 7 that they join the club. It's nice when
Yeah,
they're all the way
yeah.
through from 6 or 7 years of age as a little boy all the way through to get in the first team. But it's there's lots of different ways players can join the club, isn't
Mm-hmm.
there? Like we were saying about the young Chelsea lad, it wouldn't matter to me whether he'd been here since he was 5 or he came in when he was 15, as long as he plays well for the team. But it is nice to have local lads like Curtis, Trent, and Quant is almost a scouter. He's from Warrington, so Jarell almost counts as a local lad. He's
Oof,
all
that's not
as a native of.
Warrington.
Mhm.
That's a squatty town. That's a
Mhm.
squatty town.
But it is only a kick up the arse from here, like Warrington, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
The
hasn't got a
first I, the
like.
first IKEA in England, the first IKEA in the UK, Warrington.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Not know
Wow.
yeah. First one
I
in
didn't
Ireland,
know
and I know that because my sister is one of these real early adopter type peoples,
that.
and she wanted to go to Stockholm to buy stuff in IKEA, like in the 90s. And her husband went to Warrington 3 times within a month of IKEA opening there because she just
Mm.
thought this is the future. It's like you're weird. She's like, yeah,
that.
she was saying Warrington is what Warrington like. There's I was saying it's a squatty town. Like you'd call it like a military town, like it's an army barracks town. And she was saying
Mhm.
like at 5 o'clock in the day, everything shuts there and there's nothing left. It's like the really weird, odd little place, and it's just full of people. It's just full of soldiers.
Mhm.
and an IKEA. So yeah, that's where Kwanzaa's from. I thought Kwanzaa was proper Scouser. I didn't know that. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Hylor says,
yeah, but it doesn't bother me. No, it doesn't bother me. Look, pick them up from wherever you can get them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're born and they came through the academy. Like, pick them up, get them whatever age, bring them in.
Yeah.
Okay, it's excellent if they can say, "I was show you your Scouse passport." If that means more to somebody else, cool. It doesn't mean more to me. Go out, like Lee said, just go out, do it on the pitch, and play well for the club. Don't care if you come from Angola.
I like to see local lads. I like to hear lads with the local accent interviewed. You know what I mean? In the team, So now it's Trent and Curtis.
It's nice link, but
yeah, you have to have it. You have to have it to at least a certain degree. You have to have local lads to a certain degree. That's just the way it is, or you won't feel any connection. Like if there's no local.
But like 12 Man said, like you go to the metropolitan area of London, you've got maybe 10 million people.
Right.
So you can draw on, like, the Crystal Palace
Player
are famous.
This is
Crystal Palace are famous for unearthing these gems because they are the only club in their catchment area, because there are catchment area rules in England. And in the Croydon area, they're the biggest. So that's why they've always been known for bringing through. So you go to Liverpool. What's the population of Liverpool? 500,000, maybe 500,000. Am I over or underestimating that?
I don't think.
I mean, so you can't compete. Like, how many kids you got? Like, and
you're pretty right on. It's 496,784.
There you go. Right, and
last census style thing. Yeah,
it's a half an hour, maybe 45. Well, it's probably 45-minute drive to Manchester from Liverpool. So you're competing with Man City and Manchester United and Everton.
I mean, there's more people that live in Leeds than they do in Liverpool, man. Actually, that's pretty.
Yeah, crazy. Leeds big city, man. Leeds big city. So yeah, the amount of kids that you can actually get in that area when you're trying to compete, like I say, Manchester just down the road. You know, Liverpool and Manchester, you can drive there, and that's not a big that's not a big deal. So then you try and compete with these London clubs have their pick of kids.
And I do know the same way. I do know that there's Liverpool proper. I guess I'm calling it Liverpool proper. I mean, like, it's the actual, and then there's parts of Liverpool that extend outside of Liverpool, I guess, or something. So, because it's saying here, Liverpool is the 5th largest city in the United Kingdom, the largest settlement in Merseyside, and part of the Liverpool City region, a combined authority with a population of over 1.5 million. But
that'd be Bolton and all. That'd be kind of But the city itself is
the actual city. The actual city of Liverpool has 496,000 in 2019.
There's more people in Dublin. Like, there's been over 1 million people in Dublin for maybe 8 years now. You know, that's how small. Liverpool is a small place. You know, on the world scale, you know, when you compare, it's a small place. Northwest of England, tucked away. You know, and you've got a lot of competition. So you got to have elite academy, and you got to be able to spot these boys and go, bing, he's not happy in London, get him up here. Do it. Bring him in. Did it with Harvey Elliott. Do it again.
Yeah, Harvey Elliott, you know, like you said, heck, I mean, I know Beijing Pops was saying that there might be some pushback. Let's say real quick, there might be some pushback on from the Polish Messi as to a actual pathway towards the senior team. But again, I just say Musiala had his opportunities. He just wasn't at that level to get there, because there have been plenty of other occurrences that show that you can make it as a youth player and actually get some type of chance to show that you deserve to be there. I think Musiala just unfortunately never really blossomed. He showed there's some players. Look, let's not get twisted. There's some players that will shine amongst the youth academy players, amongst the other kids that they're playing against. But then we bring them on.
What's the question here? What's the question with Musiala?
Yeah, with Musiala.
What that he didn't?
That Musiala would have some issue with what I said earlier about there's a path that Liverpool do offer a pathway towards the senior team. And I was just saying that he's just one. He's one particular case that I just think that there was a pathway for him. I just don't understand, or for some reason he just didn't amount to what people thought he was going to amount to. Basically,
Musiala, the
not
guy
Musiala. Did I say no? I said Polish.
Yeah,
that's Polish Messi. Did I say Musiala again? I didn't. Yeah. Say Musiala. I meant to say Polish Messi.
But which? Oh, okay. But which player are we talking about?
Polish Messi.
Oh, Musialowski. Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, hey, Musiala.
If I said Musiala, that's just because I said I was.
Okay.
I said Musiala over Adeyemi.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It was in my head.
I was okay. Okay, cool.
That's why I kept trying to say Polish Messi. That's who we're talking about.
Yeah, but he's gone anyway. Yeah, no farewell video for him.
No farewell video for him. Nope. Oh, nope. Hi, Laura. Quick question is asking: has Everton, Lee? Maybe you can answer this one. Has Everton been better in developing talents than Liverpool, in your opinion?
No.
No, quick.
No.
Not easy.
Not in the last, I don't know, God knows how long. Maybe once upon a time. But Everton have had.
I guess maybe because he's mentioning. I guess because Gordon, even what's the talented center half that they have right now?
Branthwaite.
Branthwaite was bought. Branthwaite wasn't brought through the ranks. He wasn't developed. He was bought not long ago for a fee. Like he bought Joe Gomez when he was 17 from Charlton. South London, like you were just saying, Brian, about Crystal Palace getting all the talents in South London. Well, that's where Joe Gomez was from, wasn't he?
Charlton, 3.5 million.
Yeah, Gordon, I know. Gordon was. I got it. Gordon did develop at Liverpool.
Yeah,
I know.
Many other players that have genuinely come through their ranks and done anything.
Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, I was going to say Wayne Rooney. But...
it was another one that City bought for a ridiculous amount and it was crap. Rodwell. There was
Jack Rodwell.
Rodwell, who's the other one who's at Luton now? Who's that fella? He's at Luton.
Ross Barkley.
Ross Barkley. Yeah.
Any defenders? Can't think of many defenders in recent years. Tony Hibbert, but he's not that good. Tony.
I mean, it says something right there, Lee. You're reaching too. Like you said, you're reaching for names.
Yeah, I'm an Evertonian, so I know more about Everton than quite a lot of Liverpool fans in terms of what players they've had and what they.
Yeah, just bang on Lee, bang on the ceiling there, and get him to come down and give us their opinion there. Tell us who the last great Everton other than Rooney. Okay, we all know Rooney. Okay, so
Marion can ask her husband. Marion can ask her husband. Maybe if he's
the last,
because he's at Everton.
The last lad that they brought through. I mean, it's not a stick to beat. It's not a measure of a club. It's not a stick to beat a club.
No, it isn't. It's not.
It's But someone brought up earlier on in talking about Everton, someone was having a conniption there earlier on because apparently Johnny Heitinga has joined our coaching staff.
Yeah, I saw
Johnny Heitinga, who used to play for, he used to play for Everton, but I remember him as an Ajax.
Yeah,
right.
I think I don't. Yeah, I get it. He played for Everton, but I mean, he's a coach. He's Dutch. I mean, okay. I think they were even saying, what's the world coming to? We're even hiring Johnny Heitinga.
Yeah, no, Daryl was not happy about that.
Come on. He's just a coach. He's not the fucking... He didn't come in wearing Everton kits. Yeah,
he's not going to be on the pitch taking free kicks for us or something. Yeah.
Yeah, Stones, yeah, it's probably there you go. Stones
That's a
is a
good
good
shout.
shout.
Bought him off Barnsley, those Stones.
See, they did, that's the thing,
Like Branthwaite, he didn't come through the ranks. He was bought for a fee.
well, see, if we're doing it purely like that, then he doesn't count. If they had to, no, they did. You're right, they bought him from Barnes.
Through the ranks. Hibbert was, Rodwell, Barkley, but not Branthwaite or the other fella. Stones and Branthwaite, neither of them are scousers, and they were both bought for a fee.
Like even Shamey Coleman, they got him from Sligo. I think they got him for 60 grand, like £60,000. They got Shamey Coleman for. He only just. I don't think he has retired yet. I think he's still there. Like he was one of the best right backs in England for 2 years with Baines on the other side. You had to have them in the fantasy football. You had to have both of them. They were the original Trent and Robbo. Franny Jeffers, no, I think they bought him.
I couldn't believe it when Arsenal bought Franny Jeffers. He was good at the time, Jeffers, and looked
the
like
fox in the box. You remember the quote? The fox in the box.
But he very much wasn't, and was a waste of money for Arsene Wenger.
What's the opposite of a fox in a box? I don't know, like a badger in a I don't know, a ball pit or something. I don't know.
I think it's a chicken. A chicken.
Yeah.
The foxes go in the box for the chick. The chickens are in the box, and then the fox.
Yeah, I think he was a fox in the wrong field or something.
Maybe that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked good in the early years, Jeffers. I remember Jeffers quite well. I remember seeing him in some bar in the Albert Dock, like I was in the bog having a wee, and seeing Franny Jeffers. So I have seen him in real life.
So he does exist. We know the fox in the box is real.
I know it. It was called the Blue Bar. It was like a posh bar in the Albert Dock in Liverpool. Where people go to pose, and I didn't much care for it, to be honest. I think about it twice and thought I'll come back here.
Doesn't sound like your style, man.
No, mate, no.
Well, the Albert Dock is all very posh, though. All the posh apartments and all that shit.
I felt out of place in the.
Okay, Mark, I got you. He's saying yes, but that population doesn't count over the river in the water, which
that's where the Wirral, that's where is the catchment area. Yeah, but I was just in terms of the population of Liverpool City.
Yeah,
I guess 500 grand. I guess 500, and it was 497. Okay, so I'm hanging on to that. Okay, you can spread it out as I guess 5, and it was 497.
Thing is, Wirral isn't Liverpool, you know what I mean? It's when you live on the Wirral, your postcode's CH with Chester, I think, or some shit.
See, there you go. Ain't even Liverpool.
But when people from the Wirral want to identify as Scousers, I ain't got a problem with that. Like Jason McAteer saying he's a Scouser, he's from the Wirral. There's a lot.
Well, Bolton is the Wirral, right?
No.
Because they always thought Bolton been close to because McAteer played for Bolton. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Him and Stubbs together, wasn't it? Alan Stubbs, who ended up at Everton, pair of scouts. As I say, it's up at Stubbs was from Kirby. But yeah, I've got no problem with people from the Wirral being counted as Scousers. They sound exactly like us. They don't sound any different to Scousers when they speak. So there's a clue in that they sound exactly like us.
Okay. Same colloquialisms as well.
Yeah. You have the same words and that in use, same vernacular, same vocab and that same slang words are found on the Wirral as they are in Liverpool, all the time. Whereas Manchester would have different slang words for different things,
Yeah, dickheads.
Yeah. Big up. The last but not least, I just had give you a little bit of your moment of zen, as some people sometimes call it. This is a funny picture I saw actually. There's been a lot of We're going to be facing off against Arsenal and Philly for preseason. I've already gotten a bunch of DMs and emails about even just a preseason game, which is sad to say, but from some of the fan bases back east that are looking forward to that game. There was this really cool, I don't know if this is a promo piece that Arsenal has out just yet or not, but apparently they had some piece where they have Martinelli, who's Brazil just got knocked out of COPA. He was showing basically.
Really?
Yeah, there's a promo. So this is now, I guess, this is the new promo piece they're doing. Showing off their, basically showing off their Champions League, their Europe prominence, by the way, which is pretty exceptional.
Who knocked Brazil out of the Copa? How did that happen?
Uruguay, was it?
Yeah, they want the penalties. The unique thing about Copa this year is that they don't have extra time. So when it comes to and I think it did affect the way that Uruguay played, because after they got a red card, which was they rightfully got a red card. The player that got it was rightfully shown a red.
Got a lot of red.
It was a red. It was a bad tackle, really bad tackle.
About a red. Sounds it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some reds that you're like, oh, is that really a red? You know, but this was like.
Yeah, ones that are given against Liverpool usually if it's you. But anyway.
Exactly. I mean, I still to this day don't think that the Virgil van Dijk red was a red.
I don't think you think to this day that any Liverpool has ever player ever committed a foul in their life.
Yeah, there you go.
No, the Virgil one's never a red in a month of Sundays, is it? Like, that's never a red.
What would you do in a month of Sundays? Like, what would you actually do? Like, where does that come? Like, in a month of Sundays? Like, what would you actually do? Like, what's the whole idea?
I mean, that's just. I guess I'd be like, you do your best, Lionel Richie.
You go to mass every day? Is that like over here? You have to go to mass on Sunday?
No, easy like Sunday morning. Easy like Sunday mornings.
Yeah, in Ireland, if you're Catholic, like going to Sunday, going to mass on Sunday. Yeah. So it's like, no, I don't want to do that like every day.
Yeah, 30 days.
Yeah, exactly. 30 days
going to church.
No, man, and like the pubs closed. Well, they used to, you know. No, you don't want a month of Sundays, man. Don't want that.
But yeah, it's just going on about they a bad red. They went down to 10 men. Just as Pop said, it was a really awful challenge. Initially, it was a yellow, but he went to VAR and upgraded it to a red. And also at 10 men, Bielsa switched up completely. Took off Nunez, went into more of like a by having 10 men, it was like 5, if not. I remember Pops pointing out sometimes 6 guys on that back line, and it was where they were just going to play this game out until they got the penalties. They didn't want to play. Uruguay didn't want to play against Brazil and chance of them getting hit on a counter or getting hit with a goal, because then most likely they wouldn't have been able to replicate the same. So they played for a draw, or they played for a regular time draw, and then after regular time it went straight to penalties. And in penalties, hey, you say what you want, but Uruguay came up and made their penalties, and that's what you ask. That's what you want. And that's what you ask your players to do. And I mean, every last one of their players came up and delivered for them, which is pretty exceptional. And it was. I know Pops and I were both like scratching our heads as to the order that they went in for Brazil, but they brought up Militao as their first kicker, and I think he was the one that actually missed for them. But to bring up usually you don't see a center back or a defender being the first choice for your penalty kicks. Normally, that's at least my perception. I don't normally.
Well,
You don't expect.
Depends on the country. Depends who they are. Like some of them did.
Yeah,
did
I mean,
their
you
best
take what you can.
taker.
Yeah.
Use
Yeah,
the
like
defender.
the new thing in the Euros these days is what you used to have was the best taker would go fifth, maybe fourth or
Is that
fifth,
why
because they'd
Trent
be
was
thinking
fifth?
that way.
Is
No, that's
that-
what used to happen. But
I'm just saying.
now
I'm just
what
saying.
they've
Yeah,
changed
I'm,
is
I'm,
now what they're doing a lot now is where it's basically the best penalty taker on the team. In the
yeah,
Euros
yeah.
especially is taking the first one.
Mhm.
So yeah, in a lot of these smaller countries, their best player will be some kind of centre half or something, but he'll have unreal technique. So you do see it the odd time, but yeah, normally that's not the thing. But that's an interesting thing in
I've
this
seen,
year's Euros.
I've seen, and for Holland sometimes Virgil be the first person to get.
Well,
to
they're
take-
Dutch. They can all take a penalty, man. Don't worry about
Right,
those boys.
right.
Every single one of them can smash one. But
But I mean, like,
Virgil has been
I was saying
unbelievable.
he's the captain, and that's why.
Yeah, Virgil could have had about three. I reckon Virgil could easily have had 3 goals in these Euros. He's been, he's been getting on the end of pretty much every good corner they take. Like you can see how he's only like he could have a crazy season where he could score 10 goals, like defenders used to do back in the day. He's he still looks. He doesn't look 33. Yeah, we're talking about her. He still looks like he's about 30. You see him dominating the box a lot on Holland corners, first header all the time. He's been unlucky a bit, but yeah, I think he's someone that I think he's with a little bit more luck, he could be like seriously someone who scores 8 or 10 goals a season for Liverpool, no doubt about it. But
That
they
was-
will take penalties.
With Germany all those years ago, when Germany always won penalty shootout. I mean, we lost 2 to them in 6 years.
Yeah.
The World Cup semi-final in 1990, and then the Euro 96 semi-final 6 years later. And they always had defenders who scored. Always their fullbacks like Berthold and Bremer, or even Argenthaler, like the centre-back, they always took pens and they always scored. And we did not have defenders who could score. We had like David Platt, Paul Gascoigne, Gary Lineker, but did we have a defender who could score a penalty, whether it be a centre-half or a full-back? Not fucking one did England have. Not one.
Yeah.
No,
Difference
Wait,
between
well,
not
here's
winning
one. Here's some. Pops just giving you a name. Who you thought was top class?
Andy Bremer, Berthold and Bremer.
oh yeah, he was. Bremer's one of the best penalty takers going.
Yeah. Argenthaler.
Like he was first choice. They had
Really?
Lothar Matthäus, Rudi Voller, Jurgen Klinsmann. They had all those kind of players in that team, and Andy Bremer, who was the left back, was their first choice penalty taker.
Trent stepped up and took that penalty well. I think I know for myself, I was definitely very on pins and needles that he would make it. I'm
Nobody
not
wanted
rooting
that.
England on. I'll admit that openly. I'm not. England isn't a team that I have a vested interest in seeing win, but that's just because I like the orange. But like I actually am wearing an Italy jacket too, but they're already out of it. But but he really put that he delivered on that penalty. Like, as in, there's no way that there's certain penalty kicks that are pretty much unsavable. That was an unsavable penalty kick, and he went for it because you can get that wrong,
great ones.
Easily wrong.
They scored all 5. There's been some amazing penalties, and because you're getting these terrible games, you're getting penalty shootouts. So you're getting some really good ones. The best one I've seen so far is Mendes, the guy that took one for Portugal when they needed to score one. That's the best one I've seen yet. But I saw someone else making that exact point earlier on, that they don't like Liverpool or they don't like England. They're a Liverpool fan. They don't really like England at all. But the second that Trent stepped up,
They're rooting
it
for
was
him.
like, oh
Yeah.
shit, yeah, I support England now because if Trent misses this, then we won't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. That's
More
the way it
about
was for me.
wanting,
Like, as in,
yeah. It was nothing about wanting England to win
yeah.
or do well or anything. It was just like, oh no, shit, yeah, I don't want to hear about Trent missing this.
Right.
And I think that was really a big motivation in that, like, because he was brought on to do it. And he won't be brought on again next game. He won't come on. He won't play, but he was brought on to do that. He did it.
No,
If he'd
look,
missed it,
there are a lot of people thought that there were a lot of people when Swiss went up 1-0 in that game. There's a lot of people thinking, oh, England's about to get, England's about.
And when
to
Shaqiri, did you see when Shaqiri nearly won it from when he went for it from the corner? He tried to score from the corner, and he hit the bar.
That's Shaqiri-esque though. Shaqiri can make.
I know that's what I was saying. Like, to come out on and try that, like, and even Jordan I respect Jordan Pickford, turn around and laughing and giving a thumbs up and applauding him, going,
that was
well done, mate. Well done.
Yeah.
That was class.
The face on Pickford, like giving him the thumbs up, saying nice try.
Yeah, he was like, that's ridiculous, mate. In a match like this, to try that and almost pull it off.
But that's Shaq though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was saying who was I talking to during the game? JK. I was like, they need to bring on Shaqiri.
Yeah.
Like, if he's fit enough, bring him. Like, they brought him on with like 8 minutes left. If Switzerland had brought on Shaqiri with maybe 20 minutes left.
Yeah, give him a little time to cook.
Because he came on like he was already warmed up enough to be able to ping that off the crossbar from a corner.
He could knock a fly off the wall with a football.
He could.
Yeah.
Oh, he could.
It was JK. It was JK. It was JK. I said Shaqiri's going to come on and score a screamer and win this, and he nearly bloody did it. One man that they had, if they'd given him even maybe 10 minutes more,
we'd all be drunk though. So
yeah, but maybe even 10 minutes more, he might add a shot at something because he was. Yeah, he's obviously fit enough. I don't know why they were holding back on him.
Yeah. All the same. Looks like tomorrow is going to be Spain versus France. Another big nation, confrontation or game for the Euros that'll be on about the time that we are on as well. It'll be on an hour after we start, or hour and a half, or an hour, half an hour or an hour after we start tomorrow's show. And then also tomorrow is Argentina versus Canada. I know there was a question in the chat about can Canada win. I think can Canada win? Any team can win on any given day. The whole any given Sunday type concept. It's when you get this deep into competitions, you just never know what'll happen. Whether you could have a bad foul or a stupid call, or have a deflection, known goal. All of a sudden, you're playing from a different perspective. Anything can happen. Do I think Argentina or Canada's going to win? Hells no. But I mean, but then again, there's those of us that probably thought Venezuela was going to beat Canada. I was one of them. Obviously, so was their coach or former coach, who's now no longer their coach because Venezuela lost to Canada. I think that Venezuela just got it all wrong in thinking that they could go toe-to-toe with trying to match the pace of Canada. I think that was poor, but Venezuela is no longer in the tournament because of that. And now Canada has moved on to face Argentina, who was their group opposition. And Argentina, I think, now knowing what to expect from Canada, you most likely won't get a return of what you saw in that initial Canada versus Argentina match. That's just my humble opinion. I think that I think Argentina now won't take them for granted. Won't take, will understand what to expect and what they should be looking for in that game. They're not going to definitely take Canada lightly. And I think that you're going to see Argentina really try to put the foot down against Canada early, and if not often, to just get through this round and make it to the finals to go up against either Uruguay or Colombia. So, do you have any? Who are your picks in those games? And then we're gonna end the segment here. We're gonna end it today. And also, Lee, stick around too after the show's over. Just tell you, I don't know if you saw the private chat there, but who do you have in tomorrow's game? Do you have Spain versus France and Argentina, Canada? If you want to throw a score in, cool. In the chat, you can do the same as well. I'd love to see what your picks are for tomorrow. But who do you have?
I think Spain will just about beat France. I think it'll be very, very tight game of few real chances.
Yep.
I think Spain might just about pull through by hook or by crook or by penalty shootout.
Mhm.
As for Argentina, Canada, I could say Argentina probably winning that one. Maybe with the experience of going further in tournaments more often, that might count. But it might not. You never know. Argentina have although they win a lot, like, they have a history of being beaten sometimes, don't they? Like, it's not like they never get beaten, Argentina, at major tournaments.
It was 1990 in the 90s. I know it was in the 90s. I mean, USA beat them 3-0. So
Cameroon wasn't beaten. Yeah, Cameroon beat Argentina.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice was top of the charts. Yeah, it was only yesterday.
Yeah. I just mean it as in no one had us beaten Argentina, though. Certainly not.
35 years ago. Yeah, no, I know.
30 years ago, 35 years ago, yeah. I think it was like 19. I want to say it was like 1990, 94, 96, something like that. It was like mid-90s.
I think Lee is the same boat as me. I have no idea. I haven't been watching it. So on paper, Lee, right? You're not picking Canada. You're picking Argentina.
Yeah, you look a little flustered.
I don't know.
I know. I was going to say, is it some
just experience of Argentina being their experience of being more experienced, if you know what I mean, and going the distance. But it's not a given, obviously, is it? Actually, there's a large part of me would like to see Canada win. In fact, the lion's share of me would like to see it.
Really?
Oh gosh, I don't want to see that.
I
will not hear it. Are you kidding me? I will not hear it. If Canada wins, I will not hear the end of that.
Lee, is this because you've discovered some Canadian heritage or some Falkland spirit here? You're like you've rediscovered it's 1984 all over again, and
it's nice. It'd be nice for Canada. No, it ain't that at all. I've never bought Argentina any ill will about that stupid.
No, obviously not.
Yeah,
no, city that a bunch of rocks out in the middle of nowhere.
About that. But it'd just be nice for Canada. I'd like it to see Canada triumph, just because it's upsetting the odds and it'd be different.
Oh, it'll be huge if they win.
Lee, can I ask you a question, Lee? Because we all have a sort of, I know everybody has, like, I'm a one man team kind of guy, right? Everyone says, oh, you support Inter as well. I think I follow Inter. Like, I'm a Liverpool fan,
a big difference,
but I follow Inter. If we're playing Inter, I want us to beat them. There's no conflict there. But I love Inter and I follow them and I want them to do well. But I'm not an Inter fan. I'm a Liverpool fan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you have that little kind of soft spot or whatever. Like for me, so it's Inter. Who would be your international team version of that? So, like, say you're watching a tournament and England aren't involved. Like, who would be, say, like, the international team that you would have like a soft spot. I said like, oh, if England are playing, I want them to win, kind of people.
I have always had a soft spot for Holland.
Yeah.
Because they didn't win it in 74 and 78. I was alive in 74 and 78, but I certainly wasn't old enough to, I didn't know what
To
day
remember it. Yeah.
But because they didn't win it then, and they've had so many great players, they're such a great football nation for such a tiny nation. And it's not just the players, it's the style and inventing a style and that, like total football and all that jazz. So yeah, Holland probably, like, I've always had a soft spot for, and I've always enjoyed seeing them do well. I even like the orange kit. It's got nothing to do with anything else really than just them things.
Oh no, it only has to be a visual thing, a trigger when you're young that you like. That's what it takes. Like the most times, why did you start? Oh well, I thought I was 3 and they had a nice kit, so I followed them. Obviously, sometimes it's just that easy. There's not. Oh well, when I was 5 years old, I was just a student of European football, so I decided, no, they had a nice kit and they were on the telly, so I supported them.
Yeah. Well, Cameroon got a lot of fans from Italian 90 in that regard, who were little, who were younger than I was even at the time, and I was quite young then. But like, seeing them in their green kit with green, red, and white kit, and playing splendid football. Got to the quarterfinals against England, Cameroon in their first appearance.
Oh, Roger Milla.
Yeah,
Roger Milla.
Appearance. I don't think they've been there before, Cameroon. It's the first appearance, and lots of people fell in love with them and they won a lot of fans who were still with them 4 years later for USA 94. So yeah, that's the way it goes. It can be the kit or just the vibe of the team, or so anything goes, done it, like when it comes to something taking your fancy. But with me,
what the funny thing about that, because you remember the Roger Milla dancing at the corner flag, Italian 90. Everyone remembers that, right? He scored 4 goals. He came in as a 38-year-old into the team. The president of Cameroon basically dictated that he had to be in the team, and because he was retired, and all the team, basically Cameroon, they kind of like, before he joined, they were all like revolting. They were like, no, this is ridiculous. This is nonsense. And Roger Milla shows up and top scores in the World Cup and creates an iconic World Cup moment, dancing the court, and everyone fell in love with him again. It was just like, no one remembers that bit. But that Cameroon team is definitely up there. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh no, how can you not? That Cameroon team was like, they were the toast of the World Cup world for some time. They were exciting. They're exciting. They were, you couldn't help but root for them.
And he came back to US. He was still there in USA 94 at 42 years of age. Roger Milla.
Yeah,
that's it. Steve.
That's football. That's football.
The favour and the favour for Cameroon stayed for USA 94 because there's a lot of people who fell in love with the team from Italian 90 just because the way they went about it and that. And because it was a debut, I'm pretty much certain in that it was Cameroon's debut, the 1990 World Cup. I don't think they've ever qualified before.
They really did. They really did. Nolante's spot is spot on. I think they really put a lot of like attention to Africa. They brought a lot of attention to Africa, I believe.
Yeah, there have been.
Obviously, Cameroon and Nigeria did their part too. Nigeria has always been a juggernaut.
Well, there was Algeria. Algeria before them were strong as well. They weren't. But they were Italian. You see, the thing is, Italian 90 put football on the map.
Yeah,
because Italian 90 was one of the biggest televised ones of all. Italian 90 goes down as one of the iconic ones because it was when TV was really kicking off.
It was very.
I can understand why you're saying that.
Yeah.
I can understand.
So when they were at that, They were the one. That was one of the ones that really kicked off, like, because that comes with Nessun Dorma. It was in Italy. You got Pavarotti, still one of, like, Italian 90, the biggest. Like, it was like the first time it was shown to the world properly, and they were at it. So anything that was at that lived long in the memory. There were other African teams, Algeria especially, but that was like the one. That was like the first time it was on in the cinema or whatever. That was the one that got all the exposure. But they are, they'll still go there. Like, everyone does remember, probably does remember them. Still, if you're from that age, yeah, you do remember them. But for me, I think my team would always be. Second team would be Argentina, definitely. In a World Cup, definitely be Argentina. In the Euros, I don't really pick anybody. Ireland rarely gets to a World Cup, so I tend to have a second team. But in the Euros, I don't care who wins, whoever it is. As long as it's not England, I don't care. But if it's the other one, I go with Argentina.
Yeah, I never bought the Argentinian ill will about the Falklands. Like, it was a nonsense war over like an unimportant bit of land. At the end of the day, it was important hundreds of years ago as the stopping point round Cape Horn, and it's no Panama Canal.
Few specks on a map. Who cares? As long as everyone there gets their healthcare and their whatever, their electricity, and who cares? You don't need to sink ships and kill people about it.
Important in 1982, the Falkland Islands.
Yeah,
it was silly.
Yeah. For all those that don't think that we in America have any love for football, or as we call it here, soccer, highest attendance average per match was 68,600 people in 1994. That was the last time the World Cup was held in the United States. So we have the highest average per game attendance that actually went to the games and actually saw the games. Was
stadium.
Well, the American.
Right, that's the size of the stadiums, though.
Yeah,
that's the size of the stadiums.
And all that, like
that. There's some big stadiums in Brazil. There's some big stadiums in the other.
No,
countries.
But I'm just, if you talked about the average, I mean, look, no one's. Well, you're very defensive tonight. Who's been slagging off the Americans?
Mine's good. Yeah,
but no, like, we're fine. We all.
You talking about my?
Yeah, we don't. No one. Yeah, but no one. But who's slagging off the Americans? We know you like football. It was
no.
Oh, so you're saying because we were all saying the Italian 90 was the best one.
Yeah.
Oh, so the more people went. Oh, okay, so it's a numbers game.
Just
there.
saying.
No.
More people got to enjoy it. That's all. But I'm not saying the quantity or quality was exceptional in 1990.
But no. What I'm saying. Okay, yeah. What I'm saying is for people of my generation, born in Europe, Italian 90 it's not like you said. Yeah. It's not like when I say Italian 90 was the best. I'm not saying USA 94 was a bad World Cup.
No, I'm not saying that either.
Yeah, okay, so more people went because the stadiums were bigger.
I'm saying that the stadium, you could say that the stadiums were bigger, but again, it goes.
No, but they were. But if you're going on average attendance, no.
But I'm trying to say that.
I'm making a joke. I'm making a joke.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to say that.
The World Cup average attendance, who cares? Yeah, I know, dude. Yeah, everyone went because this was the World Cup. Everyone went.
I mean,
you got good numbers. Yeah, you got good numbers. Cool. Well done. We're fine. No one's slagging off the USA. You put on a great show. Lots of people went and you put on a great show.
Yeah, I would go.
But it's just when you're 10, people have done. I don't get. People have actually done this, right? A psychological study in football that the World Cup that is closest to your age when you're 10 is the World Cup that you will say is the best World Cup. So if you're whatever age you are, if you're a football fan, whatever World Cup was closest to the age that you were.
Oh, that you were born at this.
When you were 10, because apparently 10 is like the tipping point. So whatever World Cup is closest to, because you see, for me the biggest one is Euro '88. and I was 10 at Euro 88. So they've done that psychological study that whatever age you are as a football fan, you will always say that the best World Cup was the one that was closest to your age when you were 10 years old, because that's when memories form. That's when your brain kind of does that kind of stuff. So that's why, yeah, for me, it's Euro 88, because Ireland were in that and we beat the English, and Italia 90. And we were also in that and we did well. But yeah. Yes, Beijing Pops. Beijing Pops, of course you feel. Yeah, but see, Beijing Pops is one of those guys, you know, he's forever young. I told you, man, best smile on YouTube, he's forever young. Is he 20? Is he 50? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. He's one of those, Beijing Pops is one of those guys. 82. No, 82. 80. Can you remember 82? Pops, if you can remember 82, fair play, man. You can remember 82, fair play.
The first one I can remember, 82, but I haven't quite sussed football out yet. But I remember the big incidents. I remember Schumacher on Patrick Batterston breaking his bloody neck. I remember what else happened in 82. Italy won.
Rossi, and Dino, basically Rossi.
The team was dead good. See, I wasn't I wasn't old enough to understand football for about another 3 years, I'd say, 3 to 4 years after the 82 World Cup. But it's the first one I remember. I'll tell you that much. Like, anyway, I remember it quite well. I remember sitting there watching all the games, but a lot of them. What else do I remember about the 82? Oh, yeah, the Brazil team was very good. And it was slightly unfortunate to be knocked out by Italy, but Italy were very good also. Like, that was some Brazilian team. It's probably the best Brazilian team not to have won.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
The
they were. That was a wonder team. That was an absolute wonder team.
Eco, Maida, players like that, Falcao. There was loads. Great players then. Yeah, who else was there?
You see, those were slightly back in the days when there was less of the do not lose mentality, and you did have good teams playing good football. Where now it's become somewhat system based. Like you have to go back then, maybe, to see teams that played with a bit more freedom.
Yeah,
those famous Brazilian teams, like they're famous because they did it in international football. Like, you watch Brazil now, they're boring as shite. Like.
Well, even though the ball frees, some very, very negative sides, like, or that thing about Brazil in England '66, like when Brazil came in '66, and it just wasn't a good Brazil side compared to like '58 and '62, and they got knocked out by Portugal, I think. It wasn't a good side. I mean, it wasn't a bad Brazil side, but it just wasn't.
You're not going to let this go, are you? This numbers thing.
Not really.
I'm
just pointing out.
What?
Pointing out stuff. I was gonna
okay. Well, what's the population of America?
The population of America?
Yeah, what's the population of the USA?
I don't know at the time in 1994 what was the population, but I mean, it's like in the 330 million, something like that.
So what's the population of Italy?
I have no idea what the population of Italy off the top of my head.
So
but it's not like
if you were to work it out that way. So you're genuinely going to tell us that the World Cup in the USA was better because more people went to the game? This is crazy.
I'm just putting out there that more people.
I know you're putting it out. Yeah, more people went to games in the USA. Yeah, that makes it better World Cup. Okay, no, I'm fine. I've been corrected. No, it's fine.
In your opinion, Brian, it doesn't. I'm saying that more people in this country that football/soccer is not even remotely as beloved, especially in 1994. We didn't even have a league here. Italy has a league.
But it was a World Cup.
They not only have the structure of having the Olympics there before that, but they had the structure of the fact that the
So
I
you
put
have
in there
massive football. You have
the
massive
final
stadiums.
game, for instance, had 73,000 people at it. So it wasn't like they had an Olympic. It was an Olympic theater that they went Olympic
Sorry,
stadium.
no. We
So
we
they
can go.
have
That's fine.
huge.
No,
They
that's
have
fine. Yeah,
big
numbers.
stadiums in Italy. It's
Yeah,
not like they don't have to
yeah,
instruct the infrastructure. I was just trying
yeah.
to make the point that it's
No,
just
you
it's
made the point earlier. More people went to the games in the World
no.
Cup
What
in
my point
America.
was going to be is that it's
That
just
makes
that
it a better World Cup.
it is noticeable that a lot of the other World Cups were at 40,000, around the average around 40,000. I was just looking up again, 86, they average around 40 some odd thousand. For 82, it was around 38 to 40,000 people averaged in attendance for those games. But for the US, it was a huge trip to go from 40 to 68,000. That's a huge jump. And it was something that was notable in that it definitely took Italy. I mean, like I'm wearing Italy's crest here, but I mean, like it took Italy as well as Mexico, for instance, and the World Cup in Mexico in '86. Like it took a lot of that momentum to build upon to even have a realistic opportunity to say that people were going to show up. Just because you have World Cup here doesn't mean that people want to go see it. Like you got to have football fans. So football fans to show up in the droves that they did in America says a lot. And it actually was really, really great to see that America represented. That's all I was trying to get across.
Mexico '86,
Yeah,
the second World Cup I remember, but Mexico '86 was the one where I understood football. I was old enough to understand football then. Spain '82, I wasn't old enough to understand football. It was just some men running. Sometimes it went in the net. That was all I understood about football for Spain '82. I was too young. But by the time Mexico '86 come around, I'd twigged what football was and understood the nuances of it and what the game was. And I really enjoyed Mexico '86. It was really
Yeah.
From that point
That was
of
a
view.
great. That was 86 was great. Yeah, 86 was great. 82 was pretty amazing. I mean, it wasn't 82 and 86 basically a return match of the finals, basically, right? 86. Argentina played Germany in '86. Didn't they play? And then they play them in '82, or no? '86 and '90 was the return.
Yeah, 86
and 90 was the return. That was the return because like Argentina played in both finals in '80. Argentina played in '86 and they played in '90, but Germany played them in both finals, I think. Yeah, Pops quick to correct. I know, I see you, Pops. I feel you.
Yeah, I think Germany final in '82, but Italy beat them. I think it was Germany.
It was a Germany. Yeah, Germany. Yeah. Germany won one of them. Germany won in '90, right? And didn't Germany win in '90 and
yeah.
Argentina won in '86, right?
Yeah.
What's the next? Are we?
But that's all. We're already on the tarmac here. We were just reminiscent about FIFA World Cups and everything. But again, tomorrow's the game. So 3 straight World Cups. Germany was like a powerhouse when it came to World Cups. It's amazing how far off they've fallen from that era where they were just dynamically always picked to be someone that was going to possibly be a final participant. I think it was that beating by Brazil that one year, that World Cup really put a shiner on Germany. But yes, tomorrow Spain, France tomorrow at 8:00, and also the Netherlands, or excuse me, not France, Spain, France. Actually, it's I was looking at the odds actually. The game tomorrow is Argentina versus Canada, I know, and also France versus Spain, France. So it is Spain, France tomorrow. We'll be live tomorrow in the 7 o'clock hour of the UK. Is there anything you want to say before we let the people go? Irishman, you want to say something before we let people on to their ways? No? Brian, you there? Nope. Maybe we might have lost Brian's mic, maybe. Well, Lee, do you have something to say to the people before we let them go?
Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for all your comments and all your input.
Okay. Brian, I hear you back. You want to say anything to the people before we let them go?
Yeah. Yeah, I do, but I'm not going to. So,
okay.
Hello to Philip. I haven't seen you, but yeah, Pops. Pops. The next time you're around, man, if you got some free time, call in. Call in, man.
Yeah, for sure.
We get some of that. We get some of that Caribbean flavor in here. It's been a while. It's been a while. So, I haven't been on their show in a while. I haven't seen any of their heads around in a while. So it's a quiet summer.
Yeah.
So, but everyone just take care of yourselves. Have fun. Don't get too head up about England.
There you go.
Any England fans left?
We'll see. Tomorrow is France.
Get your fantasy football teams. Yeah.
There you go.
That's the thing. Get your fantasy football teams in order if you haven't done it.
Yeah, get them in order if you haven't, because some teams' players have been knocked out, so you definitely want to make sure you have a team that you can actually use. Thank you for the reminder. I know that I have to do the same. But
I think it's tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time. I think is the deadline. So
before
you have all your multiple you plenty to do and all of that. So get it done. If anyone wants to come in and challenge me to top of the league, I've been there all year or all tournaments. So come on. Day one, top of the league. Day one. Day one, I'm top of the league. Still there.
This guy is competing internationally. He's internationally ranked. So it is what it is. But for the rest of us, definitely get your Euro picks in for those that are participating in the challenge. Also, join us tomorrow. We'll have a show. We'll probably go into the kickoff as well. Stick around to halftime, most likely. And until tomorrow, hey, up the Reds, people. Up the Reds. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Don't leave, Lee. Don't leave. Stay, Lee.
Stay. Yeah.